Welcome to episode 6 of Cynical Cinema with Jacob and Emma, and today we have a very special guest.
Very special.
Damn right.
Our dad!
Jeffrey.
Jeff Noons. We've talked about him before on the podcast. I hope in all good light. I don't remember.
Pretty much.
I
think I
He
still,
wouldn't.
I think I still have to listen to episode 4. So
He wouldn't
Which
let
one
us
is that?
get
Is that-
away with him trashing.
Is that
With us trashing. him.
What's episode 4?
wait.
Spaghetti Man.
Velocipaster?
oh no, I listened to
The
Spaghetti Master.
Velocipaster.
I
No,
listened to that one too.
he's our biggest fan.
And I watched the movie.
Yeah, he watched
Yeah, you full on committed.
Velocipaster
There's
per hour.
one of them I haven't listened to entirely. Sorry.
It's fine.
Yeah.
We're just now getting our, catching our stride. Is that what they say? We're
And then we're gonna break master
Shut
hand.
the
Like that.
no.
Who did that song, Emma?
I don't remember.
Damn.
I'm
Flock
getting
of,
the
flock
evil
of
eye.
seagulls.
No.
Jesus.
Bon Jovi.
Oh my god.
The Beatles. I don't care. Well,
Led Zeppelin. Okay,
steaming
well,
already. Well,
why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Dad?
Yeah.
Disappointment.
tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I fathered you two. End of story.
Nailed it.
Woo.
Created the two best goddamn people on. Damn it.
Yeah, you guys can't
High five.
Planet.
You guys can't
Do it
high
right.
five. Worth of
Damn it.
Shit.
Anyway,
Jeez.
nothing
I don't know. I like movies. I like my kids. So I'm
because it
here.
just makes sense.
Yeah.
It's also like a certified like smartass, and that's where we get it from.
Yeah,
so I
absolutely.
just felt like you'd be a good
What?
fit for. Oh, sorry, I meant lawyer.
No. Oh. Yeah.
Got him.
I am a
Got
lawyer.
him.
So nothing really has happened. Usually, so you've listened to the podcast before, Dad.
Yeah.
And if you've listened to the podcast before in the audience, we usually talk about what happens in between each podcast.
Just
'cause
our
there's
weeks,
usually,
kind of
like,
what we've been doing.
What's
Yeah.
been going on, and it's been probably 24 hours since we're recording,
Yeah.
because we're trying to stock up some episodes, just because
Right. We're all in the same room. And,
I'm going to be going
you know,
back to LA in a couple days, and
Yeah.
it's a little bit more annoying to do it that way.
Right.
But is there anything in particular you'd like to talk about, Jeffrey? Can I call you Jeffrey?
Any little tidbits that you want
No,
to
I mean,
give everyone?
I'm happy to be here.
Woo!
I'm just happy to be here.
I'm just
I'm
happy,
just happy to be here.
It's nice to be nominated.
Well, Mom
no,
couldn't
I
make
mean,
it, so.
I was intrigued by. Oh, damn.
That's rude.
I'm sorry.
Damn.
I'm sorry.
That's why you're my
sorry.
second favorite child.
Got him. I always knew it.
Ooh.
I always knew it.
No, I was just gonna say, your guys' podcast is pretty entertaining. I might be totally biased, but
Well,
Thank you. I
um,
appreciate
thank
it.
you anyway.
Thank you.
but you sound like you know what you're doing.
You would tell
I
us if it
still-
was bad. I think you
I
would.
would tell you if it was bad. The
It's
only
true.
thing I still don't quite understand is the caliber of movie that you guys choose to
I think
review. Although I find it hilarious, and you actually did get me to watch one. So
Yeah.
okay.
Hey.
I'll take
and
that.
now counting this one, you'll get me to watch 2.
Well,
So
That's
there
true.
you go. I was about to say, we also don't really have much criteria for
We
what we
don't-
chose. I know
yeah.
the first one that we chose was very anticlimactic with like how over the top it was.
Right,
We
how
were just
bad it
like, you know
was.
what? We've been trying to do this podcast for God knows how long. We've been
Mm-hmm.
talking about it. Let's just pick a movie and fucking watch it. Like we just need to do it.
Right.
And then we chose Circus Island for
And
some
it was
fucking
a
reason.
poor choice.
And so-
And then we
hey, don't be dissing Ed Marinara.
the marinara.
Marinara.
See, I've already forgotten about that.
No,
It's
you
been
forgot
so
about our
long.
boy.
Our boy Ed.
That
Our
dude-
boy
Ed Marinara.
Ed
Your boy Ed was like a professional football player,
Marinara. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I kind of remember.
and he was on Laverne and Shirley.
that's awesome.
Oh, right. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
like our mom's favorite show.
It is.
She loves
That
Laverne and
is,
Shirley.
yeah.
Yeah. So when we picked the first one, we kind of were disappointed, and then the next couple, we were like,
Yeah.
and then Velocipaster came around, and we were like, this is what
it really
we want.
It really made me excited to actually start doing the podcast again.
It was
because I was like, oh
awesome.
shit, there's like stuff like this that exists in the world. Yes.
It's like definitely up there on my list of like I would watch that any time
I think
at a
it's-
drop of a hat. Like
Well,
I would watch
I think
that
it's my
movie
Desert
again.
Island movie.
You guys
Oh,
gotta,
so
you guys
lots to
gotta go
analyze
back.
there.
So what it reminded me of when I watched it, and this is a little history lesson for you,
Oh.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
sort of. You got to go back and watch. There were like in the 80s, probably some of them in the 70s too. There were a number of movies that were they had that same feel as Velocipaster. It'd be like, of course, now I'm gonna space on what the names were. I think one was something like Amazon Women on the Moon.
Yeah, I've heard of that one. Like, I actually heard of that one before.
And the Toxic Avenger.
Or is that like Killer Clowns from Outer Space? Is that another one?
Something like that.
We saw that when we were
Toxic
scrolling
Avenger
through.
was a big one in the 80s.
Is this stuff that like came out in theaters that you as a kid like maybe you didn't go and see it, but at least saw the marquee and you were like, that looks stupid? Or is this like stuff that you just
like
happen to remember?
I don't really
later
remember
down the
those.
line.
Yeah. So sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
It
No,
happens
it happens
constantly.
constantly. We're doing it right now.
I don't remember them. I don't remember them being in the theater, and if they were, I wouldn't have gone to see them anyways. But where I remember seeing them were back in the day.
Yeah.
When we had these things called video stores.
What?
Ooh, like
Where-
Blockbuster?
Like Blockbuster, but
Hollywood video.
before Blockbuster.
Whoa.
See, when
Like your
back
mom
in
and
the
pop
day-
video store.
Yeah, exactly. Your
You
mom
don't
and pop.
need to age yourself
Your
here.
aunt,
You don't.
Aunt Lottie worked at one.
Did
Oh,
she
did
really?
she?
Our
She did,
aunt
yeah.
worked at one apparently.
Nice.
Video box office used to
Nice.
be used to be in our hometown that I know from previous podcasts. We don't say where that is, but
Yeah, we
Right.
don't talk about that.
We're actually there right now.
but when
Or maybe we're not.
that's where I remember seeing stuff like that. Is you go into the video store to grab a video, and they'd have all the tape, the VHS tape covers displayed, and you'd go like, "What the hell is this?" Like, Toxic Avenger,
Good
Amazon,
Lord.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
What?
That one
That
I
sounds
think
awesome,
that
actually.
one's from the 70s. I'm pretty sure. I
That's
kinda remember that when I was
amazing.
younger.
That's amazing.
So there's like a whole slew of those
We
kind
need
of
to
types
tap
of movies.
into that market then. But
Yeah.
okay, here's another question: are these movies made like Velocipaster was, purposefully to be like super cheesy and bad,
Or
was
were they
the,
trying
or
to
were
be
they
good?
like, I am a filmmaker.
I don't know.
I wrote the script about Killer
I
Tomatoes.
honestly
am
can't
seriously
see
making
someone
it.
making a movie
yeah.
like that.
I mean, I don't. I'm not a film historian in that respect, so
Sure.
I don't know. But God, I hope they weren't trying to be serious.
I feel like if you write a
'Cause-
movie called like what Attack of the Killer Tomatoes or something, who's gonna think that you're actually gonna make that a good movie?
Well, yeah,
like,
you'd
I don't
think.
know.
If you have a concept like that, like yeah, it's gonna be so bad that it's good.
Here's the
but
thing, though.
I don't know.
From what I recall, and I haven't seen any of those in a super long time. But in thinking back on them, I don't have the sense that, and this may be totally wrong, I don't have the sense that like quality wise, like as far as how it looked and how
Right.
that it was that far off from what a serious movie may have been. I mean, some of them, I don't know.
So you're saying like the look and feel of Karate Kid, the original, is the same as
No,
Attack of the
I
Killer
would,
Tomatoes
no,
or
I
whatever.
would say you'd have to go earlier than that, but
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
That's like too
that's,
early.
That's
early?
kind of
Yeah.
I think that's also an exception to that, and I'm not comparing it to like
I guess
The Godfather or something.
Right.
Like that,
I'm
but
making bad examples.
I'm
right
just
now.
saying, like,
But yeah,
the look. Whereas now
you can tell.
you can totally
Yeah.
tell if it's
Right.
VFX car on fire.
And, and speaking of movies that look like absolute shit, we haven't even introduced the movie we're going to be watching today
Yeah.
or whenever we decide to watch it. But it is Panman. Now, typically Emma would be reading the synopsis, but we felt as though because we did have a
We
special
have a guest.
we would let him read it. So go ahead and what's Panman about, Dad?
Panman. There's a demon in your kitchen. Panman is
Sorry
a
to cut you off. I just
What?
want to say you're doing this
What?
perfectly.
It's
Oh,
so
thank
This
you.
good.
is exactly what
It's
we
so
wanted.
good.
I
Cool.
didn't even have to tell
I
you
don't
to
even
do
get this into
Thank
it
you.
when I do it. So
I know. Maybe you should
See,
replace Emma.
you
Maybe.
guys don't know.
Okay.
Like, I was on radio
Please
before.
continue.
You know
Oh.
what radio is, right?
No.
Is that the one
that
where you push the
Sirius
buttons
XM?
and it cooks your food?
Yes,
Wow.
yes. It's exactly what it is.
Both of those jokes were
Anyways,
dumb.
where was
Anyway,
I?
please continue. Sorry.
Panman is a demon chef with the recipe for murder. When young chefs from a prestigious culinary academy begin disappearing, a professor and his prize students form a band of hunters who are poised to take down the murderous Panman. When the devious plan fails, Panman goes on a bloody killing spree, exacting revenge on the professor and his hunters, using his favorite tools from the kitchen. Panman, there's a demon in your kitchen.
Wow, that was
love
awesome.
that.
This is going to be horrible.
I'm so excited.
I watched the trailer for this before we chose to watch it. We'd watched a couple other trailers of movies that we'll probably end up watching in the future.
So we won't.
So I won't
go
say
too
any
much
of them.
into it. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks just abysmal. And it has like a little bit of horror aspect because there was a little bit of gore in the trailer and like stuff like that.
I was like,
Emma's
I don't want to
immediate
be
reaction
scared
was,
when
I don't want to be scared. I'm like, come, Emma.
If you're scared
come
of
on.
this movie, there's no hope
Yeah.
for you.
You should watch Hereditary.
Oh, yeah. You should watch Hereditary. You should watch a double feature of Hereditary and Midsommar.
No.
You would love it.
What's that dude's name? Ari what?
Ari Aster.
Ari Aster, I think. That guy's got a fucked up mind, but I love it.
I'm terrified there's a guy out there that thinks like that.
Oh my God. It's scary. Also, okay, back on track.
Yes.
Fun fact about Panman. I don't know if you guys saw this on the IMDb. The person or the guy who plays Panman is also the writer and the director.
I love that.
Of course he is.
Well, okay, I guess that's not
But
really
that's like
a surprise.
very
But
in the same fashion as Spaghetti Man
Right.
and like,
like I was saying when we watched, the fuck did we watch last time? Swiped.
Yeah.
I was like, if you have an idea and the money and the time and the care to like put together a project, by all means, good for you.
do it.
That's
yeah.
what I've been telling you two to do.
Yeah, but I don't have as good of ideas as Spaghetti Man and Pan
We'll come up with an
and-
idea.
Okay.
You know what?
You know
Maybe
what?
we will. Maybe we will.
You know what? Pants Lady.
There you go.
Fighting crime.
Yeah, maybe you should
with
stop.
pants.
Maybe
Right now,
you should
I
stop.
would be as likely to watch that as I would a movie about a pan man. So
Okay. Perfect. We're in business.
You're already halfway
right.
there.
All right.
Oh God.
I just need a tagline. I just need like one of those little. I just need like a tagline, like "Stop in the name of pants."
I seriously think you could get a job at like Lionsgate right now as like a producer
Absolutely.
with like this attitude.
course.
Let's do it.
Let's make you an application.
If they made the Emoji Movie,
Hey, man.
I know it wasn't Lionsgate.
Hey, you ever
I'm
disrespect Sony Animation Studios like that again, I will kill you.
Jacob, I have 4 Emoji Movie DVDs in my bedroom right
yeah,
now.
and I purchased them all for you for Christmas last year.
Yes, thank you for
better
that.
Respect it.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Thank you,
Now, children.
Gene was down on his luck. Okay.
Gene.
If you
In
ever
Jailbreak?
disrespect Sir Patrick Stewart as the poop emoji again, I'll fucking kill you.
This man is knighted, and he played an emoji poop.
Hey man, Dame Judi Dench is knighted, and she played the fucking cat. And
you're right.
Cats. That's a
Isn't Ian
broad-
McKellen also knighted too?
Ian McKellen is also in that. Fuck, Cats was.
I want to watch
forgot
Cats.
about
I
that
haven't seen
existence.
Cats.
Why don't we just watch Cats on this podcast next time? Honestly,
Dude, let's do it.
fuck. All right. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, move on.
Let's get into the reviews. Emma, go ahead and read the 2 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
There are 2 reviews
Only
of this
2.
movie on Rotten Tomatoes.
Only 2.
There were also
2.
only 2 on IMDb.
Okay, well, I'm only reading one from IMDb.
And it does not have a
But-
Rotten Tomatoes score.
Does it not?
I
didn't
don't
even notice
think
that.
it does. If it does, it's like made up.
I'm
of 2
preemptively
people.
giving it a
does
60%.
not. All right. It doesn't have one, but
Okay.
let me just kind of get into
You just get into character.
character a little bit right here.
Yeah,
All right.
you got it.
This was given half of a star. So like I think we were saying last time, I don't think you can give movies 0 stars.
Yeah, you're not allowed to give it 0
So,
if you want to leave a review on
This was
Rotten Tomatoes.
half of a star. This review's by Robin M. Couldn't get through the first 5 minutes. Horrible acting, and the script was even worse.
I'm sorry, Robin. Were you expecting The Godfather?
This is what
You clicked on a movie called fucking
Pan Man.
Pan. What the hell did you think this
Thank
was?
you.
Like a fucking sequel to Pan's Labyrinth? What the hell?
That's what thanks. Because when I heard that, and I didn't want to say anything because I'm like, well, I mean, I don't want to like totally go against your genre of podcast or anything like that. But
No.
what the fuck did you expect?
Seriously.
Yeah, I don't know,
you don't
man.
click on a movie where the poster is a dude wearing a spaghetti pot on his head and expect it to be fucking Citizen Kane level cinema.
When the tagline is like freaking, what was it?
There's a demon
in your kitchen.
I just don't understand like taking the critique there that way. I mean, I don't know. It's like she's a serious film critic.
Yeah, I don't know. Dude,
there's a reason why there's only 2 reviews of this movie in the world.
It's so funny because I'm looking up, like, I was trying to look up the different like taglines and stuff. There are a bunch of like different taglines for this movie. There's a demon in your kitchen, horror gone to pot is one of them, and then I believe on IMDb. Let me just pull this up real quick.
I don't get that one.
On IMDb there was.
Yeah.
Explain.
It.
Oh fuck, I'm stupid.
While I pull up this one, explain.
Horror gone to pot? What is that?
I don't know. Gone to pot's like a phrase.
Is it?
From the old days.
Yeah.
I need to get out.
It's like something just goes to shit.
Gone to shit.
Gone to pot.
Gone to pot. All right.
His blood is boiling.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's not
I like
even the
that
one that I'm looking for right now.
Pan puns. I love those.
I don't know. There was one that I saw earlier that if I find it again, I'll
Sure.
But anyway, there are a bunch of different taglines, and I feel like if you see that kind of tagline to a movie,
yeah,
what?
Yeah,
come on, whatever. All right,
it's still funny though.
I want to reiterate something you guys said last podcast, which is that I don't know, like it's fun to sort of have a laugh at some of these movies, but I don't want to like take away from like somebody wrote this.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely.
I know what it's like to like make something and then put it out there, but I do agree also with what Jake said. As soon as you do that,
you open yourself up to scrutiny.
Yeah, and you should, and that's how you get better at anything.
Right.
So, but
accepting criticism.
That being said, what's the next review?
All right.
The next review is actually a good one.
This one's completely switches gears. So, this was a 5-star review out of 5 stars.
Wow.
Yeah.
Written by Melissa W. And I will get into character for this one as well. It's a similar character.
Thank you.
Because, they both have similar energies here, I believe. All right. An absolutely stunning film that you should definitely give a watch. Its delicate balance between romance and horror makes for a must-see movie. Nay, horse emoji. Horse emoji. A cinematic masterpiece. Brilliant acting, fantastic script, and a plot to die for. If your movie night is lacking any pizzazz, then this film is one for you. Definitely a favorite for me. Horse girl.
I literally I wrote down the comment and I said I usually don't agree with horse girls in anything that they do, but I hope she's right on this one.
I hope she's right too.
Fuck.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you for that.
Why the nay with the
horror?
Like,
no idea.
It's so funny.
See, having a PhD in sarcasm like I do.
Yes.
I feel like that. What's her name? Melissa.
Melissa.
I feel like she's just kind of being an asshole. Because there's
not what I was thinking you were going to say.
Because there's no way any of that's true. I'm just
don't know.
See, but then who's right? What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to believe Robin M that this is a garbage movie and she's probably right?
Right. Or
but she's not taking it with a grain of, she's
right. No,
she's treating it way too seriously. But then the complete opposite side of the spectrum is Melissa W here, who's like, this movie is perfect.
Okay, well, Melissa
so I don't
W
know what
is either being an asshole or she's a mental patient.
Hey, they probably have Netflix in psych wards. You don't know that.
Maybe.
That's true.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Or Amazon Prime.
Or sure.
By the way, Amazon Prime is a gold mine for movies like this.
Holy shit. If you are listening to this podcast,
where else are they going to be?
That's a good point. Netflix would never pick up any of that shit.
YouTube, I don't know.
I think we watched Swiped on Netflix.
We watched Swiped on Netflix.
Same with SPF 18. They have garbage in like the other sense of the word, where it's just like This didn't have to exist.
Netflix is a hoe for Noah Centineo, though.
Netflix is a hoe for Noah Centineo.
Let's be real.
God damn.
I still don't know who this Noah guy is.
You never will, and you shouldn't ever. Don't waste your time.
Neck.
The neck. Anyway, we have one more review, and I had to say this one because it's on IMDb, and it's left by Leofwine Draka. And if you listen to our Spaghetti Man podcast, you would know
this name is familiar.
This name's familiar. They've left a review before, and they also were shitting on Spaghetti Man.
How dare they?
And now they're shitting on Panman.
How dare they?
So I don't know what this person wants, and I don't know what they expect. Again, clicking on the movie called Spaghetti Man and the movie Panman. Anyway, it makes me so angry. Anyway, the review is as follows. Panman is a very lame indie comedy horror flick about a guy dressed in black, with a steel pan on his head. He's the movie's anti-hero, initially involved in a sweet romance with an innocent woman before the events of the plot take a dark turn and spur him into a slasher-inspired evil. He subsequently goes on a killing spree, taking his anger out on a group of vigilantes. There are some brief, gory moments, but this is nowhere near as funny as it thinks it is. Instead, it's just plain bad. What do you want? What do you want, Leo Draka? If you're looking to get high art, leave Amazon Prime.
Literally.
Holy shit. Jeff Bezos does not need your money, okay? Go watch something else.
At the same time, though, I feel like of the 3 reviews, that's the one that really spoke to me most because it's probably the most accurate.
Well,
we're not going for accuracy here.
Here's like my...
or the most practical.
Oh, yeah,
okay,
I'll give you
I
that,
would agree with that. But here's like my dilemma with these movies always. Do I go into it with the mindset of I want to watch a good movie to where like if plot doesn't make sense or acting is bad, I'm going to sit there and be angry at it? No, I'm going into these movies like I hope I see the boom in every shot. I hope I get to see the crafty table in the background that they just don't give a shit about. I'm hoping it is bad. Oh no, in almost every sense of the word.
Right.
My attention span has gotten so small that I can't even like sit down and watch The Godfather, Dark Knight, like those movies without being like, I just want something dumb to happen.
Oh my god!
I just want something dumb to happen, which is sad, but at the same time, that mentality is why I can go into these movies and have a great fucking time.
Oh, absolutely.
As opposed to this person who either doesn't understand that it's trying or just okay with being really dumb and really ridiculously bad, or they're expecting it to be amazing and then they're like, what the heck? I thought this was a film. God damn it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I wouldn't use
weird.
the word film for
no.
any of these.
Well, that's
we
what I'm
haven't
saying.
watched it yet.
Okay.
That's always what I say.
Maybe
we
it
haven't
is,
watched
maybe it is high
yet.
art. Maybe
Okay.
I'm wrong.
Yeah. Maybe.
All right, I get it.
All right.
But I do have to say this, though, that I feel like every time I sit down to watch a bad movie now, I feel like I'm going to have as good of a time as I did when I watched Velocipaster. And I feel like it's just skewed my like bar for bad movies.
It's true.
And I just can't wait until Velocipaster 2 comes out. That's all I have to say.
Same.
Well, I'll tell you from a podcast listener point of view, listening to your podcast, I got to say it was kind of cool to hear the first part of your Velocipaster podcast and then to hear the sort of glee and excitement in the second half and how surprised you were at how much you enjoyed it. And so I think that's the other thing with these is if you should go in with a super low expectation and
That's
then
fair. Okay.
you can kind of
really
only go up. I mean, actually that's not true. I think you could still get lower than where you probably are, but there's a better chance you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Sure.
I think.
Okay.
That's a good take. I like it.
I like that. We'll keep that in mind, especially for Panman.
Score 1 for Dad.
Score 1 for Dad.
Score a lot for Dad. You're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that being out of the way, we got reviews out of the way. Now we need to go into our plot predictions. Who would like to go first?
I think we should have the guests go first.
Sure.
In this
you
one.
You understand what's going on, right?
We go one,
So you were going to go give your three. I guess we could do one and one, but two of mine kind of go together. So let's just do all three.
Yeah.
Give your three kind of predictions on what's going to happen in this movie.
So I'm not sure if these are entirely plot predictions.
It doesn't matter. Just
whatever.
whatever. This is a loose format.
These are three things that I'm predicting are going to happen.
Okay.
Okay. And the first two are kind of they're pretty much related, but since this is a slasher film, supposedly,
Okay.
that means we know a lot of people going to die.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope so.
And in the true tradition of Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, there's got to be, in order to have a good slasher flick, there's got to be creative ways that you're going to die.
Ooh,
Now, obviously, we
right.
already know this is Panman, and that stuff's going to take place in a kitchen, and there's going to be kitchen tools and stuff used. So,
right.
well, that said, I think we're probably going to see somebody who's killed with either a mandolin.
Oh, I cut my thumb on one of those one time.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Dude, that would
Mandolins
suck.
are evil.
No.
I hate that shit.
Ooh.
Or a cheese grater.
Oh,
Which-
that would be awesome.
Which a cheese grater is,
That would take a
I think
long
that'd be a
time to
torture
get.
device.
Ow. Oh my god.
So that's my first prediction. My second one, which is kind of related to the first one, honestly, but there's no way we're getting out of this movie without boiling water being used in some manner. There's no
Yeah,
way.
no,
In
that-
fact, of all
I
the
would agree with
predictions
that.
you've made on your podcast, I will stake that this is the stone cold lock of what's going to happen in
Really?
this movie. There will be
Really?
boiling water used in this movie.
Used
boiling water
to kill
as
someone.
Either to kill someone or to help someone get away from Panman.
Like
you
there
know.
will be a pot of boiling water
Right.
and they'd splash it on
That's
Pan
gonna
Man-
happen.
Pan-
Okay.
There's
Pan
no
Man to
way
get
that
away.
What are
doesn't
you
happen.
willing to
Yeah, what are you willing to stake?
stake if it does not happen?
I don't know. I know Emma stakes push-ups. I probably
does
can't.
stake
And I don't
I
like
probably
push-ups.
can't do as many as she can right now.
Oh, that's
That's
not
sad.
true.
I don't know, but I'm also
50
not really willing to find out.
Right.
Okay, and then my third.
All right.
Although
Figure
this
it out later.
is the third.
The third is not the left field. The
It's
third
not
is
the
just
left
your
field?
third.
No, the third is not the left field. Unless, did you only have two good ones and this would be a left field one? Because we can just move
This
on.
was this was gonna be my left field
Okay,
one.
then we
so
can.
let's just
we'll,
move on.
we'll leave that one as your
I'll
left
ju-
field
yeah,
one.
Yeah.
Emma, you want to go ahead and give your three part predictions?
for sure. All right, so Panman's backstory is going to be discussed in this movie.
Oh,
I
yes.
hope. And we kind of heard that a little bit in one of the reviews about him like falling in love with someone before he becomes Panman. I don't know.
Was he
but-
born with a pan on his head?
I hope so. But I think his backstory will be revealed that he was once a culinary student and he's now taking his revenge because he was like really bad at like cooking.
On his
And-
classmates.
Yeah, now he's taking his revenge on his classmates. So I think that's one of them. I think that's one. And then
That's a good one.
I think so my second one is that I think during one of the scenes where he's trying to attack people, one of the students, when they're attacked by him, is going to try to stab him. But the pans and on his head and like on his hands or wherever he wears the pans are going to be indestructible. So like they're part of his skin, but he can't like be killed
Yeah, right.
basically, unless they
He's
probably
like
stab
Iron
him in
Man,
the chest or something.
bulletproof.
Yeah. And then my last one is that Panman will be stopped by the power of friendship.
I love that.
Emma's always got like this happy one.
Because
Power of friendship.
because I think that'd be so cheesy and dumb and amazing.
I would
What was,
love to see
the
that
one-
happen.
The other one you had, the real something.
Oh,
was it?
the
real
real
sauce was the-
sauce
Oh, the
was
real
the
sauce.
friends we made along the way.
or
That
whatever.
very well could be a quote in this movie if they end up being saved by the power of friendship.
I highly doubt that's going to happen, but I hope it does.
I hope it does.
I hope it does.
I hope it does.
So Jake? What are yours?
So mine are that he's going to have a murderous sidekick,
Oh.
Ready for it? Ready
okay.
for it?
Okay.
pot girl.
Does she sell marijuana?
Nice.
I didn't even think of that. It's just like a stoner girl.
She's like, hey.
She's like, what's going on?
What's up?
Oh, what are you doing? Oh my God, you're killing that guy.
I thought we were just
need
gonna
to-
smoke.
You need to chill out, man.
I'm just gonna hang out.
So yeah. By the way, if you haven't realized by now, almost all of my plot predictions, they're not going to happen. It's
Yeah.
just like
Oh,
funny
yeah.
things.
Yeah, no, I got you.
For
Pot
funsies.
girl. Pot girl's going to
Okay,
be a
pot girl.
sidekick. Another one. This one might actually happen. So now,
Okay.
now that you said that his backstory was that he was like in a relationship and then
Well, that's one of the
guess-
reviews said
right,
that.
she was in a relationship. I assume she dies maybe, and then he takes revenge or something. I think perhaps maybe he falls in love with a potential victim. Like he goes to like kill someone and then is like, "Oh, I love you." I don't know. That one's kind of dumb, but
No, I
and
feel
then
like it could happen.
my third one was that they would have little kitchenware babies.
Ew.
I don't know. I don't know. They have little baby forks. I don't know.
That's so
You'd
weird.
think I was high writing these, but I'm
would.
not. So mine were bad except for that first one. I think Pot Girl is a very, very
possibility.
possible.
All right,
It's very
possibility.
possible.
All right.
All right, Dad. Now give us your quote. Now, just like how you set up your
The
synopsis.
synopsis.
You know, give
Okay.
us we've watched
Yeah.
listened to the
Okay.
podcast.
We
Give us
like
the
to get
context.
into
You got it.
character,
You got it.
so-
You got it.
So this is a quote. I think I'm gonna go with this will be something that Panman would say,
Okay.
and it's gonna be, and this is not what I've come up with is not all that great, but it's the something like it will be said at least is what I'm saying, and this is like something that he would say right before he kill someone,
Right,
of course, right? And he's gonna say something like, "I'm serving up a heap and helping of hurt." Right? It's gonna
Yours
be something
is similar to mine.
something
That one.
cliche
Oh, I
like
think we
that,
all went
right?
with puns. I
Did
think,
we?
of course.
Yeah, we all did.
Something
How could
that'll
you not?
be So that's my
like
my
that.
quote. It'll be something like that.
Okay, cool. Mine is
I like that.
Mine is
Give us your quote, Emma.
in the same situation, like same scenario. So it's gonna be right before he like attacks someone. Panman's gonna say this. He's gonna like come up behind someone and they think that like he's gone or whatever, and then they're gonna look up. It's gonna be like a shot of him like standing there, and then he's gonna go.
Right now, I'm gonna lose it. Say it. Say what you're gonna say.
He's gonna go. Soup's on.
That's not mine. That's not mine. But
And
that's
then he's
really
gonna
good.
That's
That's really
really
good.
good.
Like,
That's
smack
so
him in
much
the
better.
head.
than
That's
mine.
really good.
Really
but,
good.
you were in like the same exact
Situation.
lane as me, and I was
I
like,
was,
you
I don't,
motherfucker,
I was like, I don't
say
think
it.
he would say soup's on, but
Soup's on.
soup's on.
Wait, now I feel like with that, like soup's on, and then just
And
goes
it's
and
bam.
stabs.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Or
That-
not a stab, a
Oh.
bang with a pot.
a bang with
A
the.
bah.
Does he kill them with a pan?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. We're gonna
I'm pretty
find
sure.
out.
I'm
Kills
pretty
them
sure I
with a
read
pan?
that on
Oh
one
my
of the
God.
synopses.
That's
but
wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, so now mine is I think someone is going to be trying to catch Panman the whole movie. Like I think there's going to be like, a hero cop who's trying to prove himself to the precinct or one of those things, and they're trying to catch Panman essentially. And I think Panman is going to kill someone. Why don't like the way I said that. Someone is going to kill someone and is going to kill someone and is going to be standing over their body, and then the cop or whoever's looking for them, private investigator, maybe just good Samaritan, is going to look at them or is going to look at Panman and start running towards him. Panman's going to somehow see. Also, how does he see? I don't know. He's going to turn around, see that he's being run after, run away, and the guy who's the private investigator, whoever who's chasing Panman, is going to go, "You're a dead Pan!"
Oh.
Oh my God.
Wow.
You're a dead Pan.
Such
That's
a pun.
horrible, but it's
No,
so good.
That one was bad. That one was very bad.
That's pretty good.
All right, now before we watch, we got one more thing to do. What is your left field prediction?
My
Dad?
left field prediction is that there will be some kind of reference or maybe even an impersonator who does either Gordon Ramsay or Emerald Lagasse. It'll be
God.
either a you donkey or it'll be a bam.
What about Wolfgang Puck?
Or
I
about
don't-
Guy Fieri.
I don't think Wolfgang Puck has a catchphrase. Or
Yeah,
Guy
that's a good
Fieri's
point.
is Flavor Town.
Welcome to Flavor Town.
Welcome to
Oh,
Flavor
what
Town.
if Panman says, "Welcome to Flavor Town," and then
probably won't be that because there would be like total
Trademark.
major trademark
Yeah, that's
copyright
good.
infringement. but
Flavorville?
anyways,
change it.
that's my
Welcome to
prediction.
Flavor City.
There will be
Population
some
U,
like impersonation or like an English something that's like sort of an homage to Gordon Ramsay.
oh my god, that'd be hilarious. I
That'd be
hope
so
that happens.
funny.
All right, Emma, left field.
What if the whole movie is just revealed to be like an episode of Hell's Kitchen and like Gordon Ramsay paid Panman to like terrorize?
Is that your
Or-
prediction?
No, it's not.
Oh.
But like
Or
that'd be
Gordon
so cool.
Ramsay is Panman.
Well, that kind of leads into my prediction
How?
is that
At
Panman
all.
will be revealed to be the one and only Mr. Nicolas Cage.
What the fuck? All right,
I think even Nicolas Cage wouldn't do this movie.
I disagree.
No, I
with that.
disagree.
Really?
I heavily
If it
disagree.
paid enough,
If it paid enough. Yeah.
You got a
Um,
point there.
mine, in typical Jacob fashion,
Yes.
there will be explosions.
Yes.
At
I
least
was go-
one.
I was gonna go with an explosion, but I'm like, nah, that's gonna be janky.
No, yeah.
I think it will be an explosion of sauce.
Sauce. I was gonna say
Ooh,
sauce.
little pressure
spaghetti
cooker
sauce,
action.
A little
something,
sauce
there's
explosion.
something is going to blow up, and it's going to make a big old mess.
Big boom.
May it be blood, may it be sauce, but it's gonna make a big old mess.
I think the biggest question in this movie for me is going to be, are they going to have like real fake blood, or is it going to be that Fred's hot sauce stuff that we saw in
Frank's Red Hot.
or Frank's Red Hot in
I think they're gonna go
I
with
think
the real
they're-
blood.
I was gonna say,
from,
I think they're gonna go with
from the
real
promotional
stuff.
material I've seen from
the
this
promotional
movie,
material.
there's like a
All right.
picture of like a pot with like
Blood in
dark
it.
red like sauce. It's supposed to be blood. So I think they'll probably go with the real stuff. But it's easy to make fake blood, so
Regardless,
I'm sure they'll,
whatever
figure
happens
something
in
out.
this movie, we are in this together,
Wow.
and I'm
Yes.
very excited.
Are we really at an hour and a half already?
No,
Oh,
no,
no.
That thing that says an hour, that's always says an hour. We're
Oh.
at 37 minutes.
Oh,
and
good.
13
Okay.
seconds.
Oh, thank
Don't
God.
worry, don't worry. Well, with that being
All
said,
right.
we've done the reviews, the synopsis, predictions. I think we all know what to say.
Yep.
Ready? Let's
Let's.
Watch
pan that man.
pan.
What?
I, So Panman, better than the Sixth Sense or what?
Definitely.
Stop. Put the
Stop
pan
trying
down.
to.
No, Panman. No.
No.
Bad.
Bad.
So let's talk about Panman.
Yeah.
What do we think of Panman, guys?
Amazing. Amazing, fantastic, original,
Horse girl.
great horse girl. Have you seen that Lady Gaga meme where she's just like sitting there and she's like, amazing, original, never before been done, absolutely
not.
amazing. Yeah, it's.
I have not
I
seen that.
feel
but
exactly
I
like
take
that right now.
About Pan Man?
Yes.
I liked Panman, but I would say I would rate it below Spaghetti Man.
Yeah, I would probably say that
I'd rate
too.
it below Spaghetti Man because I enjoyed Spaghetti Man's humor better, but the humor in this one was still funny
It
too.
was
didn't-
still funny.
I didn't see Spaghetti Man, so I don't have
Oh,
that.
you
But
should go watch Spaghetti
Pretty
Man.
funny. Yeah.
I gotta say, it was. I can't use the word good,
Nor would I allow you to.
but it was nice to see that the movie definitely was not taking itself too seriously, because I think if that had been done, it would have been a whole lot less enjoyable.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
it was very funny in some parts, in a bad movie kind of way.
Yeah. We laughed out loud a lot during this
I was-
movie.
That's true.
The opening shot of the movie, I was
yeah.
cracking up. The
Yeah,
opening
yeah.
shot of this movie is like a city skyline, but then like a giant moon, just to like show that it's nighttime, I suppose. But you can clearly see that the moon is like clip art,
Yeah.
You can see this
and it's
box
like you can see
around
the
it.
box that's like on the frame
Well-
around it. And I was like, all right, this movie's gonna be the shit.
So
First,
good.
it starts off with
Crispy.
the
Oh yeah,
credit scene or whatever that says Bucket of Blood Films LLC
I like
presents.
that. I like
Yeah.
that.
And I'm like, Bucket of Blood. All right, we're in for a true slasher flick here.
Any company that names their LLC
After the
fun
movies
like
that they make.
I like that.
Bucket of Blood. Yeah. But that shot of the skyline was
But then
hilarious.
before the shot of the skyline, you know how in movies based on true stories or like even like documentary stuff, it'll say like the names and places of people like have been changed. It's based on a
Right.
true story. But
Or-
like things have been
or-
changed, or
It'll say the events depicted in this film are, purely fictitious, and any resemblance to the
Well,
living
that's-
or
is
dead
that'll
is
purely
say-
coincidental. Yeah.
After every movie that is not about an actual thing, they're obligated. They have to put that on their
Right. No,
Like-
I know.
credits wise.
No, I know
Really?
that. But
yeah.
like that's a
yeah.
law.
That's I think at the end
Pretty
of almost every
sure.
movie and TV show you see,
you learn
there is
that
a
in
thing
school?
that says
I didn't learn it in school, but based off of my observations and based off of what I kind of know about that whole kind of thing, like it's after Frozen, like Frozen 2. I saw
That's
it was
true.
like everything in here is depicted, whatever. So
But at the beginning of this
Anyway.
movie,
After Frozen.
literally, yeah,
No, really?
yeah.
but at the beginning of this movie, it is the complete opposite,
Yeah.
and it says no names have been changed. Everything that you're about to see 100% is real and happened.
Yeah.
And just knowing what the movie was going to be about, I was like, I like this.
Yeah,
That's
funny.
funny.
that was the first indication that they weren't going to take themselves very seriously, which I liked.
So then, yeah, immediately after we see the footage of the city, it goes down and there's these two girls walking in a alleyway essentially, and then they get mugged by this guy who steals their purse. And out of nowhere, they're already talking about Panman like he's some sort of like urban legend,
Right,
Yeah.
because
Which
they're
is kinda
culinary
funny.
students.
because they're culinary students, and as we find out later, and we'll talk about later, Panman only kills culinary students. So there's a very small number of people that are actually in danger in the world
Right.
when Panman's set
And
on the
they-
loose.
They had just failed. One of them had just failed their salmon test,
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. They had
yeah.
just failed a recipe test or
and
something.
the mugger guy, who I particularly liked because he snatches that one woman's purse and then gives like the ultimate tough guy,
Finders keepers, lady.
phrase. Yeah, finders keepers, lady. I'm like, ooh.
I was like, oh wow, big boy.
Yeah, did you notice that right before the mugger takes the purse, he's like smoking a cigarette or something, and he like burns himself on it, and he's
Oh, he's like, ow.
I
like,
didn't actually.
the
I didn't see
little
that.
things like that in this movie that happen all the time, where it just
That's so
like
funny.
little like human things that like
Right.
you wouldn't show in a movie.
Yeah.
They're shown in this, which is it's so funny to me. But Panman shows up, and one of the ladies runs away, and the mugger starts to run away, and Panman
Wait.
launches his pan that he's holding in his hand at the guy.
Yeah.
After a wind up.
Yeah.
After a pitcher's
Yes,
wind
you're
up.
right. He does do
A really good long, like probably 10
like a
seconds long of
full-on,
him just like
full-on
winding up.
Yeah.
Catfish hunter, like full, like
rotating
It was
his
like he
arm.
was in a cartoon where they, wind up their arm
Yeah.
and then like
Right.
it goes further. Like we all know it doesn't do shit, but like, yeah, he winds up his pot, launches it at the mugger, and the handle sticks directly into his back,
Oh, it's so funny.
and then he falls down.
Yeah.
I think before we go much further, we should really describe what Panman actually looks like.
Okay.
Which, first of all, I noticed like he was
I have, like, a-
excessively tall,
Very, very tall man.
And-
I have a perfect description.
and he's literally wearing like a whatever quart, like stock pot.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't
stainless
have
steel
handles
stock
though,
pot
which
on
is
his
funny.
head. It doesn't have handles.
I
but-
perfectly describe it as imagine Neo from The Matrix with a soup pot over his head.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's it.
Although I actually thought Tabitha's description, as soon as she said her description, I was like, "That's who I'm seeing the whole time," and
What'd
it's
she say?
Kylo
Yeah.
Ren
Yeah, Kylo.
Oh my god.
because he's wearing the long like
yeah.
coat.
Yeah, and he's got the black
Kylo
glove
Ren
and
with
black
the pot
gloves.
on
Oh
his-
my god,
He's
he's
yes. Kylo Ren with a pot over his head.
That's so
the whole
But
funny.
his
time.
lightsaber is a pot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it was
Pan.
Amazing.
He's Panman, guys. Come on.
Panman.
Then he runs over, takes the pot out of the guy's back, grabs the purse, gives the purse back to the lady, and then we get
We get the quickest on-screen romance gone wrong in the history of cinema.
Well,
I
it's
think.
like
not
a
even
30-second like
Right, it's
flash
not real, but-
forward of like he's imagining what life would be like with this lady, but it's like 1 second they're like on the beach like hanging out, and then another second they're like making out, and then the next is like them in the kitchen and she's like yelling at him and like throwing stuff at him, and then the next scene is him like outside of the apartment and she's throwing his clothes down like to him on the
Out of the
street.
window, yeah.
And then immediately he gets angry. Now we're back into real time. Gets angry and then uses the pot to bash her head upwards, and then her neck rips open
yeah.
from the front, and then it's just squirting blood everywhere. And
Which is
not the special effects, but like the prosthetic
yeah.
effects in this movie.
I was gonna say
not terrible.
They're not bad. There were multiple times during this movie where I had to close my eyes because I was
Well,
like, I don't want to see that.
That's
Yeah,
what I was
don't
gonna
wanna see
say.
that.
Is like I don't
Yeah.
know if they were great or not but they were real enough that I went,
Yeah, like,
I really don't want to
ooh.
see that. And then I didn't look very closely, so I think the effect was achieved. Because
I just like closed my eyes.
Right.
I was like, I
Yeah.
don't want to see that.
Yeah, it was great. But he, just smacks her head off and then walks away, and then we cut to credits. Or the opening
credits, yeah.
No,
No, that's the whole movie, actually.
that was the whole movie. Yep,
that was
that's it. There were actually a couple parts during this movie where, like, I thought it was going to be done.
Oh,
and I
really?
was like, oh.
Really?
Like, that was a quick movie. And then it just continues, and I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah, I mean, on that, like, so this movie was what? It was an hour and 24 minutes?
Yeah.
I think. Okay.
Yes.
So an hour and 24 minutes.
It's barely even a movie,
Right,
really.
right. But
Pretty much.
for all that, I still thought it was too long.
Yeah.
Like, there was...
yeah.
There was a lot that
Yeah.
I was like, all right, we're done. And
Yeah,
then
there was
shit would
stuff
keep
that
happening. I'm
I
like,
feel
oh my
like
God.
the story that they actually told could have been done in like an hour, maybe an
30
hour
minutes.
10.
Yeah.
Like it was because there were definitely parts where I was sitting there going, "All right,
I get it.
I get it."
Right. I agree with that. I think it was too long. That
Yeah.
being said,
Yeah.
you know, fuck it. You know, whatever. And then after the credits, we get to custard class
Yeah.
because for some reason at this culinary academy or whatever, there's a custard class, and the professor. We are introduced to the professor, who is going to end up being, pretty main character in the movie, and then we're introduced to Hope, who is eventually going to be the main romance, essentially, of
Who's our only hope?
who is. Yeah,
Who is-
they make Hope puns a lot.
a
in this
lot.
movie,
And
which
her
are-
last name.
Oh,
No, we'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that because we haven't got to that part in the movie yet.
Okay.
But we're also
we jump
introduced
around
to.
all the time.
Fuck you. We're
so-
also introduced to douchebag character.
yeah.
Who's like so funny because like a douchebag character in a culinary academy school is so funny
It's
to me.
funny, yeah.
Fun. It's probably totally true. You should ask your mother. 'Cause-
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That kind of douchebag that's like smoking weed is like, I don't need to be here.
Like, I don't want to
Fuck
be
you.
here. My name is House.
I
His name
remember-
was
His
House.
name was House.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I mean, yeah. I mean, your mother was in a program with like a restaurant management thing, and part of it was training in the kitchen, like the actual culinary stuff.
Everyone's just an
And
asshole.
to my recollection, there were a number of douchebags in there, but that's just my recollection. I may not have liked them though. But
Okay. So then after we're introduced to like all these different characters in the class, we go to a parking garage outside of the class, and it's douchebag guy and Hope, and the douchebag guy is like lighting up a joint.
he's in full douchebaggery mode.
He's like lighting up a joint, starts smoking it, blows the smoke in her face, and she's like, "But Derek," or whatever the fuck his name is, like, "I have to study for my like souffle test," and he
His
goes,
name is House.
"Oh, sorry, I literally
Actually, his name's
said that."
Henry, I think, but he wants to
Was
be called
it? Oh,
House.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
That's
they
funny.
like called roll, and he was like, "Call me House." His buddy's like, "House."
And he's wearing his Bluetooth the whole
He
time.
is wearing
Yeah.
a fucking Bluetooth.
Also,
in
another
his
thing
ear the
about
whole
this
time.
movie is that it was released in 2014, but
Right.
it looks like it was shot in 2006. so I don't know whether or
see,
not
there was
they.
I was
problems
gonna
in
go
the
even
editing room.
earlier.
I don't know
was gonna go even
whether
earlier
or not
than
they
that, but-
actually shot it then and they just released like later or
That'd
what.
be really funny
But they
to
all
find
had
out.
like Motorola razors
Yeah,
and
right.
That's
know.
true.
They're using
Going-
house phones to
Going
call
back
people.
to House, though, this guy was a character where as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, God, I hope this guy gets killed.
Yeah.
And almost immediately, that is exactly what happens.
Right.
Pretty close.
So we go out to the parking garage. He's blowing smoke in the girl's face, and she says, "But House, I have to study for my souffle test." And he goes, "Oh, souffle is loser food, Hope." And I just thought that was so
That's a
funny.
great delivery.
So funny.
So then, after that happens, Panman shows up and gives Hope a note that says, "Do you like me? Yes, no, maybe." Like
Like
you
a
do
check-
in like
yeah,
Check yes or
elementary
no.
school. And the douchebag is like, "Hey man, get the hell out of here! Like, we've heard about you,
Like,
Pan
that's
Man.
my
Like, get the hell out of
girl,
here! That's my
yeah.
girl, bro." And then he smacks him in the face with the pan, and you think he's dead because
Yeah.
every other time he smacks someone with the pan, they die immediately. He falls down, and then Hope and Pan Man start to talk for a second, though Pan Man doesn't talk.
So she's
And
just like
so she's
talking,
just
at,
talking
him.
at him. And then douchebag gets back up and he's like, "Is that all you got, bro? You need to step up." And then he smacks him again and fully decapitates
It's
him.
so funny. Oh my
fully
god.
decapitates the
And
guy.
the way that they
Head
do this
rolling across
is
the
that they
parking.
have like a fake head or whatever that's covered in fake blood, and then as they're throwing the head up into the air, they splatter more blood at the wall, which is just so funny to me because where's the other blood coming from? Like coming from the side? Like
I don't know, man.
It's just so good.
Horror.
It's
You don't have to worry about
spurting
it.
from his
Don't worry about
neck
it.
I
stump.
guess.
Which this isn't even one of the most creative kills in this
Oh,
movie.
no,
which,
it
Oh,
gets
not even
pretty
close.
good.
thank
Not even
God,
close.
so much fun kills.
I think
so
the
much.
Hope one was actually the best, but
Oh, that one was the. We'll get to that though. So then after he leaves there,
Yeah, spoiler alert.
there's
spoiler.
there is
Sorry.
this.
Yeah, I know. No one
Who
cares. Yeah.
There's a private investigator essentially that gets in contact with Hope and is like, we've been trying to catch Pan Man for years now. Like, we need you to, seduce him and so we can get him isolated or whatever. And she's like, okay. And the girl calls Pan Man because Pan Man gave her his phone number. And Pan Man goes over to Hope's house.
yeah.
And then they go to the beach, and there's like this montage where they're like hanging out on the beach. they bury Pan Man at one point, but like you could tell
Oh
that
my
they just put the
gosh.
pan in the sand and then made it look
Yeah.
like there
And
was
the-
a
they put
body
the pot
underneath
in
it.
the
Funny.
sand.
And then there's another part where Hope is like hanging out on the beach, and there's a guy who walks by and is like, bites his hand or whatever. I assume, is because he's checking out Hope or whatever.
He's like, ooh.
And Pan Man just beats the shit out of him
Oh,
while
she's
Hope's
just
like
sitting
sitting
there
there like looking the other
in the
way,
foreground,
which is so funny.
just chilling, and he's in the background just wailing on this dude.
So then after that, he goes back to Hope's house, leaves Hope's house, and sees the private investigator like following him. So now he knows, okay, like someone's on to me. Then the next day, or at some point in the future, Pan Man gets called over to a date again at Hope's house, and I think takes off his helmet, takes off the pot, right? Because she's like,
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
the real you.
Mhm.
Yeah, she
You know.
talks him into taking it off. 'Cause,
Yeah.
And it's Jeremy.
It's Jeremy from cooking
From
class,
culinary class.
who was sitting like right behind Hope in the first scene. And then there's like more montage of them doing stuff, and there's one part where it like zooms in on like a closed bedroom door, and you just hear
Ew,
Hope's voice say, "Let me polish that pan for you."
That's so
bad.
gross.
It's so,
was so
funny.
bad.
It's so funny.
I think in my notes I just wrote, "What the fuck, bro?"
I'm glad they did something like that.
It's like,
though. That was like
ugh.
what I wanted from Spaghetti Man, where I wanted there to be
Ew,
like a sex
don't
scene where they're
stop.
throwing spaghetti
Just
everywhere,
stop.
but
Yeah.
I didn't get that. So we got this. But then after that, after they become like pretty close, Hope is at her house and is talking on the phone to the private investigator, and Pan Man just like walks in the house.
Yeah,
because
nobody ever locks their front door in this
In the
movie.
whole movie.
yeah, in the
Yeah.
entire movie, I don't think a single door is ever locked, which is hilarious. Walks in, hears the plan that the girl is going through, and at this point, the girl has started to fall in love with Pan Man, and so she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. But all Pan Man hears is,
She
you're
was
working for the
playing
private
him,
investigator,
yeah.
or you're messing with my heart, and he doesn't like that. So he goes into the kitchen and starts like trying to find weapons, essentially.
Right.
Like
So
he picks up a whisk and is like swinging it and then does like the whisking motion really fast.
Picks up a
like-
rolling pin, starts trying to hit the air with it. He picks up a knife and does a little stabby thing. And I'm like, okay, we're probably going to get like, she's probably going to get stabbed. But
But then
no.
like looks down, sees something, picks it up. We don't know what it is yet. So we just assume like, oh, he's got a pot. Like he's Panman. He's picking up some sort of
something.
cooking utensil.
Maybe you're not.
What?
Are you skipping how Hope realizes that he's in the apartment? Because I thought
it's not really important.
Doesn't she just hear? No, doesn't she just?
She
hear
hears
noise?
the little bass
She's been
fish on the
playing
wall
with-
talking.
Oh my god!
She's been playing with
go for that.
the Billy Bass, whatever big mouth bass thing.
Is that like the thing that used to be at our old grandpa's house? It was like,
Yeah.
here's a
Yeah.
little song I wrote.
Yeah.
Yep.
You might have the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except this particular one apparently didn't sing a song or anything. It said like the one
Like
time it
motion
worked, it was like
detector.
give me a kiss or something
Give me a
stupid
kiss,
like
baby.
that. So yeah, when she's first in there like looking at this thing, I'm like, well, why is there this random like toy of the year circa 2003
2003 or whatever.
hanging on this single woman's wall? I'm like, what the hell? And she's like trying to get it to work or whatever. I'm like, that's bizarre. And then it became clear later that the only reason that thing is in this movie is so that when Panman walks by it when he's downstairs, it sets it off, and she realizes that he's in the apartment. And I remember, and we're watching it, I'm thinking, of all the possibilities in the world to, in this script, notify her that Panman has now snuck into her apartment. He didn't even sneak in because the front door was open. But of all the things that you could use, what would be the most clever, you know what? You know what we need? We need a Billy Bass, big mouth bass to hang on the wall. That's the only reason this thing's in the film.
What we're forgetting too is that right in the very first time that he's about to go over to Hope's house, she's like looking at it on the wall and she's like, darn, this
you're right,
thing's
I forgot.
broken. And then the first time Panman ever comes over, he gives
That's
her
what he gives
the
her.
Billy
Yeah.
Big Mouth Bass or whatever, and it's wrapped in tinfoil. And she's like, how did you know?
Yeah,
That's my favorite toy. I'm just like, what the fuck?
Like there's a point where I was like, okay, I know this film doesn't take itself very seriously, and that's cool and all. But that was just so freaking
I liked
random.
it.
I was
So
like,
I
what
thought
the
it was
hell?
funny.
I thought it was funny.
But okay,
yeah.
so now that she
It's
knows that he's
not
in the
fun.
house, or she knows that someone's there, she goes down, doesn't see him anywhere, starts closing all the cabinets, and then he pops out of nowhere and he's holding a tinfoil box.
like Reynolds wrap,
like tinfoil.
Yeah.
And you're like, is he gonna hit her with it? And then the camera zooms in on the serrated part
you're like, oh,
that like is used to like, rip the tinfoil, and we're just like, yes, do it. And then Panman cuts her neck
With
open with
the
the serrated part of the tinfoil.
Like
which,
on top of her,
like,
not from behind, like you might, slice someone's throat with a knife or
Yeah.
something, which that's going to become relevant later in the podcast. I'll explain later.
Okay.
But yeah, on top of her, like sawing it back and forth was
yeah, yeah.
So it was like, as far as creative kills go
It was pretty
in
good.
like movies, I've never seen anyone be killed with a
A
tinfoil box before.
serrated
So
edge
that-
of a tinfoil box.
Mad
Yeah.
props to this movie for doing that. So then after that, now that Hope's dead, he has like a sad walk on the beach.
Oh, it's
and then,
so good.
And then something that we should have called, we should have predicted this. There's a training montage.
It's so funny.
yeah.
There's a montage of him training, like forging a new pot, fighting, like fighting
Yeah.
a dummy outside.
that entire like section of the movie. It was over that classical music
Moonlight
piece.
Sonata.
Is that what it was? Moonlight
Yeah.
Sonata.
Uh-huh.
That whole section over Moonlight Sonata was like really enjoyable. Actually.
Oh yeah, it was so funny. Yeah,
Like,
it was hilarious.
It was that whole, it was just for the length of that song. I'm like, I'm really actually enjoying this part.
Right, yeah.
It was, and
Right.
even like some of the shots that were used, and there was funny stuff mixed in.
Right. There was this
and-
part where he like full on just like double-footed, I don't even know what this is called.
double jump
Double-footed
kicks.
side kick into the air, like this dummy thing, but obviously when you
And
do that you
falls
fall
down,
flat
yeah.
on your
Yeah.
booty. But yeah,
So
it
then-
was really funny.
So yeah, the whole training montage, that was funny. I liked you. Yeah, you liked that part of the movie.
Oh,
Like,
I
genuinely.
said while we were watching, and I'm like, you know what? That was actually not too bad. I mean, it's ridiculous, but the whole
But
movie's
like,
ridiculous.
yeah, right, right. So then after the training montage, he goes and kills the private investigator
Yes.
because he, I don't know.
He shows up to his front
Right.
door. Private investigator has his gun there with him. He knows that he's investigating this serial killer or whatever
Thing. Yeah.
Panman thing. There's a knock on his door late at night, and so what does he do? He just goes and opens the door. And
I totally forgot that he like had a gun that he was showing
Yeah.
his cat.
yeah,
What?
And
I
then,
don't
yeah,
remember
there was
that.
a cat
That's
there,
funny.
and he was just like pointing the gun towards it, just like, look,
Oh, that's dangerous.
the cat's fine.
Do you remember what he said though when he opened?
I have something to tell you.
That was
He says like, I have something
Yeah.
to tell you, and then Panman just
We never
decapitates
figured
him too.
out what that was.
I think we might know what it was. I think it was the eventual like end plot like twist essentially at the end. He probably was alluding to that maybe. So then he kills the investigator guy, and then the next scene is Hope's funeral.
Oh god.
And this scene was like a scene straight out of like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where like everyone is just the worst character. There's like 10 people at this funeral. It's
Yeah,
in
but
like the
that-
backyard of something.
That chancellor guy was
So the
So
the guy
bad.
who is talking at the funeral is the chancellor of the culinary school, and he sings Amazing Grace,
And
but I
it's
like to call
so-
it Amazing Grace tone deaf version
It's so good.
because it was awful. And then and then when he's looking around, he's like and now we're ready to spread Hope's ashes. And everyone's like, okay, then spread them. And he's like, oh, but you don't realize I already have the cake that you're all eating. I put Hope's
her
ashes in the cake.
there, yeah.
And you all have a part of her inside of you now. And then there's a throw up scene where like everyone is just throwing up, which
So
was
funny.
also funny.
And there's like people throwing up on the camera lens
On
too,
each other.
on each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
No,
stereotypical, like
It was pretty good.
over the top movie throw
Also,
up scene,
there
but
were
it was funny.
instances like in this movie where like there was this one scene in particular, and it was like, well, it's just part of them like standing all at the funeral, but it's like these two actors, and they're both like framed like they're in the center of the frame, so like we're supposed to be looking at them. It's not like they're background characters. And the guy that is standing next to this girl is like mouthing words like we're not supposed to hear them, but he's just like mouthing his lines like he's talking fakely
I don't
in the
remember that at
background.
all.
It was
I do,
so
and it
funny.
was something weird about
It was like
It
he was. Well, it's weird because you would think that we would hear whatever he's saying because we're so up close and personal
I don't
with him.
remember that.
But it's just,
Yeah.
it was silent. It was weird. It was funny though.
So
Oh,
then,
I was-
what do you say?
I was gonna say, I had a note here I should have said earlier, like going back to when it's revealed that Jeremy is Panman.
Right.
I remember basically like less than 30 minutes into this movie, we know who Panman is.
Right.
Well, we
So-
never really see his face
Yeah, you
until
do.
the
When
end.
you kind of see his
You
face.
you
see
saw his
parts
face.
of his face, but you never see his actual face until the end.
who he is.
Yeah, but
and-
you know he's
Yeah, but
Jeremy,
that's not
so
the
like, it
point
doesn't
of the
matter.
movie,
Well,
really.
that's kind of my point is when that happened like 30 minutes in, I was like, okay, where's this going now? Because I sort
Right.
of figured that the big reveal was going to be, who is Panman? I mean, they even make a big
Hashtag
deal about
whoispanman.com.
right. Yeah, they make a big deal. That professor guy, he has a whoispanman.com, and 30 minutes in, I'm like, we know who Panman is, so now what? And
Now what?
that
Right.
gets into, which you'll get into later, I know, like
Right, so
the plot twist,
from
I guess.
from the funeral scene, I got two things out of it. I also want to talk about. Hope's last name that you just said is To Live,
Yeah,
So her
that's
name
what I
is
was gonna
Hope to
say
Live?
earlier. Yeah.
which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then they see her
It's-
sister is there, and her name is Justice.
Justice to
Justice
live.
to Live, which
So
okay.
dumb.
It's
All
so
right.
stupid. Yeah.
That's a groaner for sure. But then we talk to the sister, or someone talks to the sister. I think the professor does. And the sister's like, I can't believe my sister committed suicide. And I was like, what?
That was a suicide.
Excuse me?
yeah. I was.
What? There's like no police work done in this movie at all. It's just like people die and they're like suicide.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
are dead now. Like
You
that's
dead.
just how it is.
That's
She
one of the-
decided to kill herself with
By
aluminum
cutting
foil.
her own throat several
serrated
times
edge.
with a serrated edge.
That's
aluminum
one of the
foil.
things that I kept going back and forth between. Okay, are they just being lazy, or is this part of them purposely being ridiculous and not taking yourself seriously? And I don't know. There were a couple of things where it got like close to the line for me, where I'm like, all right, I know it's supposed to be funny and stuff, but come on. I mean, that felt really lazy to me. But
Sure. So after you talk to the sister, she talks to the professor, and the professor's like, "Oh, I'm putting together like a vigilante group of culinary students to go and try to fight Panman." And she's like, "Okay, I'll join." And so then they have a little meeting, and we find out that Panman is actually a demon spirit
Yes.
of a Russian chef that went crazy years and years and years ago, and his spirit still like haunts others to this day.
Well,
and the only way that Panman can exist is if that spirit can like latch on to a human host, and then that becomes Panman.
that was the tagline for the movie. There's a demon in your kitchen.
Right, but
Yeah.
up until now,
yeah.
it's just like
I didn't
you
take
don't
that
know
literally.
what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't take that literally when we read the tagline.
Right.
Well, in the synopsis, it said that he was like a
Did it?
demon from
Oh, okay.
hell.
I still did. Yeah, I thought he was speaking.
But I forgot that. I just thought it was
Maybe,
I just thought it was
yeah.
a guy who went around killing people with a pan on his head.
Yeah.
But no, apparently it's like a demon who's like seeking
Right.
revenge on people. Like I don't know.
Is the
And-
I know. I think he was introduced before this whole meeting with Justice, but the professor.
Mm-hmm.
He like there were two people in this movie. As soon as I saw him, I'm like, I want that guy to die. And one was the douchebag guy.
Right.
Professor was the other guy. Like,
Yeah,
I
he was
wanted
just
the professor to die.
annoying.
I
was
could
like,
not stand this guy.
"Ugh."
He was a very weird character. Like they did the casting for
He
this
just
movie
talked like this, like
all the time.
all the time.
Yeah,
and
I
was
don't-
like, ugh, get out.
You're annoying. Die.
And that's one of those things where I
Emma's
couldn't
criteria.
decide: is he
Basically.
being annoying like this on purpose, like this is what they wanted, or is he just really that bad?
I don't know, man.
I would like to think that when they were casting this movie, they just like went with what they had, and they were like, "This guy is fucking crazy. Let's make the character just
That's the
ape
funny
shit
thing. is
crazy."
Yeah.
I thought that dude was crazy. The only one who was crazier was the Chancellor guy in the funeral scene.
we only saw him for a little bit.
That's how he is. I had like a
Actually,
strong feeling that like that's how that guy
You're
is.
probably right.
Like how he
Like he's
acts
just
and
like
stuff.
a weird
Yeah.
dude.
But it was weird because the actors in this film, the performances, there were like a couple of them where I was like, you know what, it's all right. Like I thought Hope was
She
actually
did
really
fine,
good.
yeah.
yeah, I mean for the material they were reading
Yeah.
and for
Yeah.
the
Justice
what
was
this
all right.
is, it was like they did a okay job.
The
Like,
professor was awful,
Yeah.
yeah.
and the Keanu Reeves guy was awful.
Yeah, one of
unless he
the,
was trying to channel Keanu Reeves.
That's true. Unless he was going for that. Yeah,
Yeah,
there was this
yeah.
there's
going for that. Then he was fine, but he was bad.
yeah, the group of vigilantes, there was like 4 of them, and they were each like their own individual like personality, just keep it interesting. Anyway, after we find out
sorry, I want
What?
to add the backstory. The way that they show the backstory is through this like flashback, black and white.
backstory of the Dolodrov,
Yeah,
of
the
the
demon.
chef that is the spirit of Panman.
And it's basically just this guy who like all of the other people like turned on him, whatever, and so they start beating him up, and they start beating him up with different like kitchen gadgets. And
God.
there's this one part where this guy is just intensely grinding pepper like on him. He's like "Ugh." Yeah, like he's just pepper
going to
grinding.
town.
And in my notes I wrote intense pepper grinding is so funny.
That
I
part
loved
was
that.
a laugh out
That was a
loud.
lot
It
of
was
fun.
that was awesome.
The important thing,
Yeah.
though, that we find out through this backstory is that pesto, like the spice or whatever it is,
sauce.
is Panman's like kryptonite.
Yes.
So now it's like, okay, now we know there's this vigilante group. They're going to try to kill Panman. They have to involve pesto because it weakens him. What are we doing from here?
Right.
But then after this scene, the professor had captured 2 of the students from the funeral and is torturing them.
They were bad,
Dad, do you
too.
want to talk about this torture scene? Because you were having a ball watching this one.
Yeah,
So
you
the
were.
torture scene, the reason I was having a ball during the torture scene was, as you recall, one of my predictions was there will be a killing by mandolin or cheese grater. And I think the overall theme was there will be some like unorthodox kitchen utensil used for a killing. And the entire time the professor decides there's a man and a woman he's got captured. He's going to pick on the man. And they're both both of them are horrible actors, although the woman actually got funnier as the scene went.
Right.
But the professor's sort of like going through his inventory of tools that he's going to use. And
yeah, he just has like like 2 trays of like different kitchen utensils that he can use.
And the whole time I'm like shouting at the screen, cheese grater, cheese grater.
Yeah.
There's like a colander and
Yeah.
a meat
tenderizer.
tenderizer.
Eventually he
cutter.
settles on the carrot peeler,
the carrot
Which
peeler,
is
or potato peeler.
whatever, yeah.
close to a cheese grater, but not there. But it's pretty close.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
And then proceeds to shave off part of that dude's cheek.
Ooh.
The best
Which
part
was-
about this scene, though, was as he's shaving off the dude's face, and the whole reason he's doing this is because he thinks that they know where Panman is, because they know Panman is Jeremy at this point. So they're like,
Yeah.
okay, the professor's like, okay, who knows where Jeremy's house is?
Right.
Like, who knows where he is? So he asks the guy, like, do you know where it is? And he's like, no. And the girl, even though they're a couple, the girl's like, you're lying. We went over to Jeremy's house last week. And he's like,
Yeah.
no, she's lying. She's lying. And then the entire time he is being
dimes
tortured,
him out the whole time.
Yeah.
she is just like, wow, that looks like it hurts a lot. And then the
She's
best
like narrating everything that
Yeah.
this guy is about to. She's like, he's picking up the
starts describing
tenderizer
the
right now. Oh
tools.
no, he's putting it back down. Oh, ooh, that looks like it would hurt. Like,
right.
So,
It's pretty good.
She's
Just describing in detail, like,
what? Doesn't
he's-
he bring the tenderizer eventually over
Yeah,
and
he
then
does.
decides to smash his toes?
Yeah,
Yes.
but she's
That's the funniest line, I think, because
But
she's
she's-
like, "Oh, toes! I didn't see that coming."
yeah, she's like,
Yeah.
is he could bash your teeth in? He could break your nose? He could
right.
break your arm? And then he hits him in the toe. He's like, oh, toes! I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah.
And then he goes over again and grabs the pizza dough roller, and he's
Right.
like, she's like, oh, he's grabbing the pizza dough roller. Oh no, he changed his mind. He changed it. He's putting it back down. He's going for he's going for the pizza cutter. Okay,
that's
okay.
gonna hurt a lot.
Could do
Brings-
some damage with this,
Right, he brings the pizza cutter over, and is like, you have something you want to say? And then like takes the gag out of his mouth, and he's like, yeah, and then looks at the girl and says, shut the fuck up. Why are you doing this?
That was
pretty good.
pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, then he slices the dude's throat
and then
with the
kills the
pizza slicer.
dude,
Kills
and then
him.
they find out where Panman
I still think a
is, something,
cheese
I don't know.
grater would have been better.
So that
Also,
scene,
kind
the
of
whole
during
scene,
that whole scene, I
hilarious.
was like, why isn't he killing the girl? She's
I think that
so
was
annoying.
That
Like-
was part of the joke of it, is
Yeah.
that like even though she's the one who's making all the
Right.
noise, talking or whatever, he's only going for the guy who
Right.
clearly
Still-
doesn't know anything.
The bizarre thing was like you still actually I take this back. That was the very first time. I don't know if you knew at the time, but that was the very first time you got an inkling of why the professor's doing what he's doing, because there's that black and white picture. There's a black and white picture that's sitting on the
of him
tray
and his wife?
next
Is
to
that it?
his. Well, it's him and a woman. I
Okay.
mean, and it's
Right.
sitting on like right next to his tray of kitchen utensils that he's going to use, but you don't know what that means at the time.
And then
he
he-
turns the picture around.
yeah. So we're
but-
like, oh, what's
Like, that was
what's
interesting.
that? That's weird. Yeah.
So after this torture scene, Panman gets lured to a restaurant, and I think Tabitha looked up the restaurant, or someone looked up the restaurant, and it's in the valley, like LA, like
That's
in the
so
Did
valley,
they
funny.
actually use the name
where
of
we
the
used
restaurant?
to live. I think it was the actual
Was
restaurant.
it?
Was
yeah.
it really?
I don't remember what it's called, but Tabitha was like, "Yeah, it's in the valley."
It looked like
I
it was
"Oh
in
my
some kind of
God."
strip mall because there was like.
I mean, the
neon,
valley is just strip
right,
malls
there-
mainly, but
There was
Yeah.
a neon, some kind of neon sign like for some other business like just outside, and you could tell it was like it was like on the end of a strip mall.
That's funny.
yeah. So then in this restaurant, the waiter comes over, and the entire staff of the restaurant and everyone in the restaurant is the vigilante group with the professor.
Right.
Just
So this is
Keanu.
their plan to
So yeah, their
lure
plan is
him here
to
and
give
kill
him
him.
some pesto with his bread that
which
he's gonna eat.
was not hidden at all. Like it was
No,
just
they
in a
weren't
little
trying to
plate, and
hide
I was
it. I
like,
don't even think
if
they were
they
trying to hide
know
it.
that Pesto, if he knows that Pesto kills him,
Right.
he's not about to dip his bread in there. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
So then they serve it to him. He's about to eat it and then discovers what's going on, takes the waiter hostage, and then everyone's like, they got knives ready. They're trying to kill him.
The
and then,
guy, sorry, this one guy who was like my favorite of the vigilante group.
the Jack
No,
dude.
no, not the Jack dude, the
Oh.
guy with the stutter. He had this knife that had like a green plastic covering on it, and he was holding it, and he was like, and then he looks at it, and he realizes that there's a green plastic cover, and he like takes it off all like menacingly, and he's like, yeah.
Got him.
So good.
They're all like brandishing their weapons trying to get him, and then Panman like just bashes the hostage's face in with the pan
Repeatedly.
and then runs away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Mm-hmm. And then
they like let him get away.
they just let him leave. Yeah, and then that guy who was the hostage dies in the stuttering dude's arms, and you get like a minute-long scene of him like, no,
Oh,
no, no, like just keeps on going, way too long.
yeah.
So then everyone abandons the professor except for Justice, who's Hope's sister. Everyone is like, I'm tired of looking for this guy. We've had however many people die to Panman. I don't want to do this anymore.
So I didn't get that. I must.
Yeah,
miss that.
he's
Yeah,
like, if you're
yeah.
not with me, you need to leave.
And they all leave
and
except
the stuttering
for her.
guy, the jacked guy, who's actually the stuttering guy's uncle,
Yeah.
Uncle.
leaves, and Keanu guy's dead. He just died in the restaurant. He was the hostage.
The girl leaves. There's
one of the other girls, she leaves.
So the bitchy girl.
The bitchy girl, yeah, she leaves. So that leaves 3 people that just left, and then just Justice and the professor left.
Oh, see, I kind of missed that. I might have been looking at my phone or something.
You're probably looking at your phone or
Yeah.
something. So then Panman's next goal is to go and kill the 3 people that just left the vigilante group.
Right.
So he starts with the guy with the stutter.
Which amazing kill.
Amazing kill.
Because he's in this guy's apartment, and the guy just kind of walks by Panman, who's just, like standing in the hallway.
If
And
the
then-
movie wasn't so funny, that would have been actually kind of a scary.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he was
but
just
it was,
in there,
it
yeah.
was hilarious.
Huge, imposing figure standing at the
Right.
end of this long hallway
Right.
as the guy passes.
But it was just funny because he didn't notice.
Right.
And then this guy, he kind of like walks back and he like trips on something, and he puts his hand on a George Foreman grill that was just plugged in. and he was like, "What? You plugged this in? Like who plugged this in?" And like Panman like plugged in the George Foreman grill so that this dude would burn his hand. Like it's so funny.
Yeah.
So after he like
yeah.
burns his hand on him, I forget
He
actually.
unsheathes the handle of the pot to reveal that the
Oh,
pot
that's right.
itself,
It's like a
the handle
shank.
is a shiv.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
he stabs him in the chest, and then blood leaks out from the wound into the pot itself.
Yes.
Then-
Yes. Uh-huh.
Panman pulls out the pot from his chest and then dumps the blood
Just
on
on
the
top
guy's
of him.
head. And right before he's about to die, the stuttering guy, who the guy who just got stabbed, is like,
Right.
"That was rude."
Yeah, like that was like
And
yeah.
then dies.
It was
So
so
that was
good.
so funny because I thought the same thing. I was like, "Wow, what a dick, Panman!"
Yeah, he was like, "Well, that was
dumping his
rude."
own blood on his head. He's like, "That was rude."
Yeah.
So now Panman goes
To the girl's
apartment, and right when she walks in,
Yes.
she sees, and you're excited about this, Dad,
I'm
because
so
one of your
excited
predictions
about
came
this.
true.
That's right.
Goes into the apartment. She sees that her sink has been filled up with boiling water, and so she's like, "What the hell?
Yes.
What happened here?" So she pulls out like this fake plastic knife, very clearly like a plastic knife.
Halloween store. Yeah.
Starts looking around. Panman comes out of the fridge.
Oh.
Actually, I think it was
Yeah.
the pantry.
Was it the pantry?
No, I think it was the pantry.
Oh,
yeah.
well, damn, I wish it was the fridge.
It was next
But,
to
like,
the fridge.
Yeah, comes out of this like closet, and then they start to fight a little bit. Then I think he grabs a bottle of
yeah.
like Dawn soap, squirts it in her mouth,
And she's like, "Wah."
forces her to close her mouth and swallow the soap, and then dunks her head into the boiling water until she dies.
Yes.
Yeah, and her face is like burning, but
yeah.
she also like drowns. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brutal
Now-
death.
now-
That's really
Very brutal death.
Yeah.
I win because I predicted the boiling water. Although I don't quite understand how water continues to boil in a kitchen sink.
I
but-
don't- I think it was just really, really hot water. I don't think it was
but you can
boiling
clearly see
water.
it bubbling,
You
though.
Could you?
bubbling.
I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
see. I
Yeah.
didn't see that. Yeah, I didn't see.
Anyways.
Well,
Funny,
there's a little
but
plot hole there,
Through
but I'll
the
give it to you.
magic of
That's the
movies,
plot hole you're focusing on.
Yeah.
excuse me,
you
water
can't
cannot
boil
boil inside of a sink.
Yeah.
But yeah, your other prediction came true.
Boiling
Right.
water.
You're
So-
good. You're good at this
Yeah.
prediction
Wow.
stuff.
I mean, in fairness, that wasn't all that difficult to call. It was a
Yeah,
killer. It was a slasher movie with culinary students. I mean, there had to be boiling
I
water.
love the way you
Yeah.
say culinary.
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 So then the last kill that he gets,
Which is, I think, by far the most brutal.
oh, for sure.
You talking about the Mr. T kill?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's this. So in this movie, one of the characters who's part of the vigilante group is like this. Imagine Terry Crews,
Yes.
But,
but like shorter.
Yeah, but
That was this guy.
yeah.
So, and the entire time, anytime someone refers to them as culinary students, he's like, I ain't no fucking culinary student.
Yeah.
I'm his uncle.
He was pretty much the only character except for that other guy earlier who like said the F word, which I thought was really funny
I thought that was very funny too.
because up until the first time he said it, I was like, we didn't really
I was
hear
like, is
many
this
swear
movie
words, so
PG-13?
so it was funny. It was funny. I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
who is this catered
That
towards?
guy
you know?
reminded me of Mr. T in the A Team.
That's probably a better.
That was like his.
Yeah.
That was like
You know who
his
plays
purpose.
that character in the newer A-Team movies?
Yeah, it's
Terry Crews.
Terry Crews.
Wait, no, he
I'm
isn't.
pretty, is Terry Crews
Wait, no,
not?
no.
that's the
No.
Expendables.
Yes.
He's in the Expendables.
In the
He's
Which is
not-
pretty much the
which
same
is
thing.
essentially
It's
the same thing.
it's a rapper who plays him in the
Oh,
new.
Ice-T?
No,
Ice
No.
Cube.
No.
Damn it.
I
Okay,
think
I don't
it's
know.
Exhibit or something.
Neither.
Okay.
Ice,
Common.
Ice Cube, he's
It's definitely
Like,
not
Chance the
Common.
Rapper.
really
I don't
short.
care. Shut up. I don't care.
Is he
Let me
short?
let's
Yeah.
get to
I
the
don't know.
kill.
Anyway.
So he is at the Mr. T's house essentially.
Yeah.
He rings the doorbell and then runs away. So the guy comes out and is like, these damn kids.
He's like, fucking kids.
Fucking
you know?
kids. And then he sits back down, is still lifting his like 20-pound dumbbell, even though his muscles are like the size of
They're
Yeah.
so
monster
large.
trucks.
I noticed that like right away. I'm like, that guy's curling a 20-pound dumbbell.
That's what I curl.
Yeah, I mean that's what exactly. I'm like
I
that's
curl like a 5, so.
yeah, like 20
job,
is
you moved
not
up.
that much, especially for a guy as jacked as that dude. That guy
Yeah.
would be curling like 40s easily.
Easily.
Yeah.
He eats 20s for breakfast.
Oh
So then Panman rings the doorbell again. He comes out and he's like, what the fuck? And then Panman's there. They have a little tussle.
Right.
He throws Panman off of his balcony, like his balcony that's like right in front of his like door. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, that took care
Like,
of him. Like,
easy
fuck that guy.
peasy,
Easy
yeah.
peasy. No demon can, like, I was here to whoop demon ass. That's what I was here for. And then a knock on the door again. Panman's there and he stabs a corkscrew through the guy's hand and through his eye.
Eyeball. Yeah.
So then he waddles over to the sink and unscrews the cork and pulls out his eyeball and it falls into the sink.
Immediately yelled, "We're getting an eyeball on this thing!" As soon as the corkscrew
Oh
went
yeah,
I
into
was
his
like,
face.
"Oh,
it's
Here
coming
comes an
out.
eyeball.
It's coming out.
I think it was on the trailer, though. I think
was
the
it? I didn't
eyeball
see
that. Yeah,
was
it
in the
was.
trailer. Yeah.
So then it falls down the garbage disposal. He goes to go reach his hand down in it, and you think, oh, because it shows the switch. Like
Right.
one of the shots in that scene shows the garbage disposal switch.
right.
And luckily, we don't get to see that.
Right.
Panman like bashes him in the head, and then he falls over. Then Panman turns on the garbage disposal, and we see a shot of the eye being destroyed in the garbage disposal,
So
which was I
gross.
thought that was kind of artistic. I liked that. It was very
kinda
it was very Wes Anderson, where it was like very
Yeah.
perfectly framed, very like it was almost like you saw inside of the
It's like-
mechanics of the thing. It was
It's like
cool.
that part where in Grand Budapest Hotel where he cuts the guy's fingers off
Oh, I haven't seen
and it like the door slams and like the fingers fall and you see like each individual finger like lined up perfectly and he goes to, like pick them up. I don't know.
It's probably
It's
probably
similar
yes.
to
I have
that.
not seen that movie.
Oh,
I need to
okay.
see it.
It's
still.
really good.
Then he just to like add insult to injury, Panman picks up a microwave and just smashes his
It's
head.
so funny.
It's a big ass microwave.
It was
too.
a
Yeah.
large microwave. So now that everyone but Justice, who is Hope's sister, and the professor, now that everyone's dead, Panman is now out to get the professor.
Right.
So
Also, can I add something real quick?
Sure.
Throughout the whole movie, and it also comes back in the end, but another thing that, like, while he's killing all these people, Panman loves to flip off people with his leather gloves, and it's so funny. The first time we see it is during that weird like romance flash forward hypothetical thing,
like way at the beginning of the
way
movie.
in the beginning where she like breaks his heart or whatever, and he just goes and he like throws up the
Just,
double birdie, and he just
double middle fingers with like an oomph.
Right. So a lot of times after he kills someone, he'll just add insult
Give
to
him the
injury and
finger.
go
It's
boom
so
with
funny.
the finger. It's so funny.
So then after they're all dead, the professor teams up with Justice, and they're like, we have to lure Panman over to your apartment. Just actually lure him over to Hope's apartment, because this entire time, every time that Panman sees Justice, who is Hope's sister, Panman sees Hope.
Right.
And is like, oh, she's not actually dead. I didn't kill her. Like, my love is still alive, you know? And so Justice calls Panman, pretending to be Hope, and is like, hey, it's Hope. Like, come over for dinner. I still love you. Panman comes over and sees Hope. Like, Panman sees Hope, but what we're seeing as the audience is Justice pretending to be Hope.
Right.
They sit down for dinner. They feed him pesto chicken. He's weakened.
Yes.
The professor comes out and tries to kill him. And then we get this, like, 5-minute scene of, like, every time someone has the upper hand, the demon spirit
Jumps
goes
to
into
them.
the person with the upper hand.
Yeah.
And, like, bashes their own face in, or, like, helps Panman up, so basically just does whatever they can so Panman can win the fight, which I thought was funny.
It was
Yeah.
basically like playing one of the Lego Star Wars games.
Just keep on
Switching
changing
Where you're
characters
switching
so you
between
can do
who
what
you
you
control.
need to do.
Yeah, that's what it looked like too, because there was like this green thing that
That like the little aura that
zipped out of them,
changes in the Lego
Right.
games that like goes across characters. So it's basically like that. But I wrote down.
Can I add something else?
Yeah, go for
Yeah.
it.
So, one of the like bizarre things about this movie, I thought was which kind of made sense after we saw the credits, but this particular scene, it was like there were parts of this movie where the way it was filmed and the way certain shots were framed and stuff, it clearly was done by somebody who like knows what they're doing behind a camera.
Yeah.
Like it actually
Yeah,
it looked
sometimes.
good.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
made sense. There was a good flow to stuff. I guess that's more of an editing thing, but there were parts of it where it was like that. And then there were parts where it was like they tied the camera to a dog and just had him like walk through the scene, right?
Yeah.
This entire sequence where Panman comes to the apartment and stuff, I felt like they were, and again, I don't know if it was a filming thing or if it was an editing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was an editing thing, but it felt like
You
they
were actually
handing
watching
off-
a movie?
No, it felt like they were handing the camera off between the guy who knew what he was doing and the dog. In the whole thing, like
Two
'cause
separate
it's
directors
like,
doing
there's
stuff.
a cool, like there's a decently, sort of framed shot. It looks cool, and then they would cut to the shot of the professor like staring up from between the railing thing and the
Right.
staircase,
Yeah.
and I'm going, what the hell's that doing there? And they'd stay on him way too long, and then it would go back to a shot where I'm like, well, okay, and then all of a sudden it's like back to the professor. It's like this horrible shot like mixed in with another one,
Right.
And that was like sort of a microcosm of the whole film.
Yeah.
Because there were some other shots, especially towards the end, and one that I know they used for. It was in the trailer, and I think it was in the promo.
Promotional
Of him like
reasons.
backlit by
Yeah.
the sun, where it's like, hey, I mean, this is a crazy, bizarre, sort of intentionally weird and bad movie, but
why not
some
make
of,
it look
but some of the
nice?
shots, I was like, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it made sense at the end because when you read the credits, you saw that they actually had different people film.
Each death.
Each death,
Yeah.
like a number of the scenes. So it was.
So it was like Hope's death scene was directed by, and then it would,
separate scenes were directed by different directors. This scene where Panman always just keeps like the spirit of Doladrov the chef or whatever keeps on switching back and forth. This is exactly what I have written down just so I could keep myself like remembering of what actually happened. I said, "Oh no, Panman is weakened by the pesto. Professor comes out and tries to stab him. Demon exits Jeremy and enters Professor, then leaves and goes back into Panman, who then picks up the cleaver that Professor just had. Then Demon enters Justice and punches the Professor, then back to Panman, who flips everyone off and leaves."
It's pretty accurate.
Yeah,
it's
pretty good.
exactly
Except it
accurate.
took 5 minutes.
Except it
Right.
took way longer than
It
that.
did take a while.
So then after Panman leaves, Professor essentially I guess like kind of takes Justice hostage because Justice is like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like this
Right.
is your thing. You want to kill this spirit for some reason.
Right, but she's not really
Like-
making any effort to leave.
That's
They're
true.
just
She
in a
could have
car,
left at any point.
and he's just like, "Well, you're in this now," and she's
But
like,
in the
"Oh."
car, we find out
She
this
was
is
the bait. Remember?
well. Here's
Right.
the twist of the movie: is that the professor has been giving out, or the professor tells Justice that Dolodrov, the original chef, who ends up being, the spirit of Panman or whatever, slept with his wife. And
Dun,
that his
dun, dun.
and that his son, who was the private investigator from the beginning, is not his son, but it's Panman's son.
Yes. Mhm.
Dola, whatever.
Or
his name is.
Dolodrov.
Yeah.
I can't believe I remember that.
Yeah.
And so the reason that Panman is trying to kill people is that he didn't want his secret poached salmon recipe or whatever to be given to anybody. He wanted to take it with him to his grave. But because the professor's wife slept with Dolodrov, the professor is like, fuck you, man. I'm going to give out your recipe to all my students.
Right.
And
When
those are
someone
the
sleeps with your wife, what's the best way to get back to him? Adam?
Steal their
recipe.
salmon
Steal their
recipe.
For poached salmon. And so the professor is giving out this recipe to all of his students and essentially treating all of those students as bait to get Panman to like resurface to
Right.
kill these people so that he can then go and hunt them.
See, I told you the professor was an asshole.
Yes, and you were right. The professor is actually kind of the villain in this
yeah,
movie.
I was
I don't
rooting
think
for
kind of. I
Panman
think
no, I
he is.
suppose yes.
all the way.
But then you also find out in that Panman is only killing people who know the recipe to like the poached salmon,
Right.
Recipe or whatever.
Well,
so like
this is an interesting
no one's
question.
at risk.
Did
Really?
well, I know that he probably killed the vigilante guys just because they were trying to kill him too, but that guy who was like, I'm not a culinary student, like the Mr. T type guy, he probably didn't know the poached salmon recipe.
So it's either a plot hole or it just happened to be part of the vigilante group and the director was just like,
There
well,
was
we want to kill him. Of course Panman
There-
wants to kill him.
There couldn't be a plot hole in this movie.
That's true. It's
Airtight,
airtight,
baby.
airtight script, baby. So then after we find out this twisting information,
weirdly specific.
right, Justice is now being used as bait and essentially as a hostage by the professor to get to Panman.
Right.
So they go out to the beach where Panman and Hope originally fell in love or something like that.
First date, yeah.
Whatever. And Panman's just there waiting. And the professor brings Justice in at gunpoint and is like, what does he want? He wants to kill Panman, I guess.
I get, yeah.
But the
yeah.
professor and Panman have like a little fight where he like throws a knife at his head. It hits the pan, bounces off or whatever. And then Justice is like, Panman, like you don't have to fight. Like you can take the pan off your head.
Right.
Like it's okay. So he takes it off and then the professor like throws pesto at him or something like that.
Yeah, I
At
don't
the
know.
same time, Panman throws a pot lid at the professor and it
Oh,
impales
yeah,
the professor
yeah,
in
yeah.
the chest. But then it hits Panman in the head and he falls off the cliff behind him.
Right. We get this like
Right.
Wait, I thought Panman took a knife for Justice, though.
Oh,
Didn't the
professor
knife...
throws knife and it hits Panman in the chest. Yeah, okay. So yeah,
He
he throws
dove
a knife
in front of
first
the
and he
knife.
dives in
oh,
front of
that's
Justice.
right. That's right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he dives in front of Justice.
Yes.
But then after that, Panman throws a pot lid to kill the professor.
Yes.
And the professor throws a pesto thing to knock
Right.
Panman off the cliff.
Uh-huh.
The professor dies.
We get this like slow motion view of Panman falling off the cliff.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool,
It was
actually.
kind of okay. It was on green screen. It was
Yeah, it was
funny.
hilarious, but it was,
So then,
Well, you forget. But Justice actually finishes off the professor because he's laying.
Yes.
He's
that's
laying in the
at
bush.
the same time as
but it's
this.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's laying in the bush. He's got the whatever sawed off pot lid in his chest,
Mhm.
and
he says like, "Call me an ambulance."
call me an ambulance. Take
like,
this
no.
thing out. And she says,
Pushes it in further. I think.
She pushes it in further, and he goes, "Justice, justice," and she goes, "This is," which I thought was was hilarious. It's actually not. I mean,
That's not even a great.
That's funny.
it's kind of funny actually. I actually thought it was that's a line you would actually see in like a big budget, like Steven
It'd be
Seagal movie.
cliche as
It'd
fuck,
be-
but
yeah, of course
yeah.
it would be.
I agree
but
with that.
it-
I
but
would see that.
You would see that totally.
So then after the professor dies, Justice goes down to see Panman, who's Jeremy,
Right.
Jeremy is laying down on the beach.
The spirit of Panman has
Panman
left
on his head.
Jeremy.
But before
Jeremy.
she gets down there, we see someone come up on the beach, and by the name of Kato Kalin.
Kato Kalin.
And Emma and I do not know who that is.
The name sounds very familiar
Okay,
to
familiar
me.
to you, not familiar to me. Clearly, Dad, you know who it is.
He told
Dude.
us
But
not to look him up so that he could tell us right now.
Let's finish the synopsis of the movie
Sure.
first, because there's only like a scene left, and then
Sure.
you can tell us.
Yes.
Kato Kalin is down there, takes the pot from his head.
Mm-hmm.
The spirit goes into him. You insinuate it goes into him, but you
Right.
don't. It's not confirmed yet.
Right.
Justice comes down, is like, "Oh, are you okay?" And he's like, "No, I'm dying. I'm gonna be with Hope now."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Go be with Hope," or whatever. He dies.
Dude just gets washed away by the ocean.
Oh yeah, he gets washed away
Right.
into the ocean,
Which is
I
so
thought was
funny.
Really
this
funny.
guy who's like 6'4", probably 250, all of a sudden, like within seconds, is washed up.
is
to sea.
washed away into the
It's
sea.
hilarious.
Then she goes back up on top of the cliff. Kato Kalin comes up in his car, or the car that was originally the douchebags in the
Douchebag's car.
beginnings, who
Yeah.
Panman stole. Then the
House
professor
drives
stole.
a convertible
It's just-
Mitsubishi Spider.
continuing to be the same car used by everybody, which was so funny.
Also, it's like,
um,
how did the car get
Shut up.
that Panman, I guess,
Panman
drove
drove the
it?
car,
yeah,
yeah.
Panman drove. Okay.
And then Kato pulls up and is like, "Hey, where are you headed?" And she just goes, "North." What?
He's like, oh,
So
crazy
funny.
Great,
thing,
get in.
I
Like,
am
oh,
too.
I'm going that way too.
Yeah.
Get in. And then it's a quick little shot, like a freeze frame of like his eyes glow green, which every time the spirit goes into somebody, you see their eyes glow
not
green.
to nitpick or anything, but if you noticed,
Oh no, go for it. It's okay.
okay, she's going north. He's like, great, get in. But when they drive off, they're driving south because the ocean,
Oh yeah, because they would have been
presumably
in
is the
California.
Pacific,
Right.
is on their right,
That's
which
so
means
funny.
they're driving south at the
That is
time.
a
but
very nitpicky thing to
Yeah.
say.
it
but
is. It
That's
is,
pretty
but-
You're
funny,
right.
though.
Okay, so then that's the movie. Then
Yeah.
you have to insinuate that the next Panman is Kato Kalin, who we guess we're about to find out who
Kato
it is.
Kalin. So Kato Kalin. I was a little surprised you guys didn't know who he was. So remember earlier when I said that the whole knifing thing was going to come back around and
Yeah.
yeah.
He's
So
a murderer.
he's not a murderer,
Oh.
but
Alleged?
Kato Kalin was one of the star witnesses in the O.J. Simpson trial.
That's why I know. Oh my gosh.
because
oh my
because
gosh.
Kato Kalin was the house guest. Kato
That's
Kal-
totally
yeah.
where I know him
Kato
from. Oh my
Kalin
gosh.
Kato Kalin lived in like the guest house at O.J. Simpson's place
What?
and
Oh.
was I don't remember exactly, but he was like home the night that O.J. comes home after killing his wife
Allegedly.
and Ronald Goldman. Not allegedly.
Hey,
Bullshit. He did it.
Okay.
A civil jury said he did it. Anyways,
well.
so yeah, so he was he was kind of like he was sort of portrayed not really portrayed. He kind of was, although the guy got kind of a bad rap a little bit, but he was just kind of this doofus surfer guy,
Yeah.
like freeloader
Yeah,
dude
absolutely.
who was staying at OJ's for free or whatever.
How did he know him?
That I don't recall, but
Okay.
but from his
That's still fucking
from
hilarious.
being in
Yeah.
the O.J. Simpson like trial.
Gave him a career?
Well,
Made
I mean,
him
he was
famous.
in Panman, so let's go a little
Well,
easy on the career thing. But he was. But yes, I mean, yes, he was all of a sudden. Let's put it this way: it made him a celebrity. It made him so that
Wow.
anybody who really was alive and an adult and remembers the O.J. Simpson trial, you know who Kato Kalin is.
That's
Holy shit.
crazy.
And
That's
had
so
I
funny.
had I not seen his name at the beginning of the credits of the movie, I still would have known who he was when he popped up in the movie, even though he's
You
only
recognize his face.
oh, absolutely, even though he's only
Yeah,
in it
wow.
for what
Like
2
minutes,
or something.
yeah.
Because he doesn't look that much different. Honestly, his hair's kind of the same. He's obviously older.
The only reason why I knew his name was because I watched the American Crime
Yeah.
Story O.J. Simpson trial, which
I
is
still
excellent.
need to see that.
It's so good.
I forget who played him. In
I
that,
don't
or
remember,
if
but
he
I
was
can
in it.
picture his face and that's why I didn't recognize him, because I picture Kato Kaelin as being the guy who played Kato Kaelin in the American Crime Story.
That was the legit Kato Kaelin.
So would that kind of be like akin to like in the Making a Murderer series, if like one of those witnesses just like has a film career now, like that would be kind of akin to that.
Well, yeah, except
Although
I feel like
was a lot bigger. But
OJ was the trial of the freaking
trial of the century. And the difference being that, you know, the OJ Simpson, the reason he's a celebrity is the OJ Simpson trial was televised.
Sure.
And he was such a awful witness that, like, seriously, like, go back and watch. If you could probably YouTube his testimony.
Yeah.
He just seems like he's just I feel bad saying this because I've seen interviews with him, and I've actually seen there was a
Panman?
I don't know if there was a podcast or if there was a like Where Are They Now thing that I saw of him.
Oh my God.
And he got kind of a shitty deal on that. I mean, that dude never wanted any part of that, but he happened to be there.
He just happened to be there, yeah.
He got a bunch of celebrity out of it, so I'm sure he turned it into a few dollars here and there, which is, you know, good for him. But he had kind of a rough time after that.
Oh.
And now you sort of like, he kind of pops up and stuff like this, and if you're anybody who's, you know, like, I don't know, I'd say probably some of the older millennials remember him because they would have been
older
like teenagers when the trial was happening.
Yeah.
But nah, like
20,
40, like 40 maybe.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so older
I'd say
than
like
that.
40 or older. You know who Kato Kaelin is.
Wow,
and so that's who the dude was.
Fucking hilarious.
I'm so glad you guys didn't know because your reaction is exactly what I was hoping.
Yeah.
If you had asked me to guess, never in a million years would I have said, "Oh yeah,
Emma
he was
last night is
a witness for the
I was like, was he in a band?
Was he in a boy
I was like,
band? Was he? Yeah, no.
Is he a sports
it's weird
star?
because I
No.
totally knew the name and I know stuff about the OJ trial because I watched that and I also listened to a podcast about it.
Yep.
And I've heard you guys talk about it before. Oh my gosh.
So Kato Kaelin is Panman.
Wow.
Wow.
Now
Panman
he's
2.
Panman now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he was credited, like
'Cause
in
this
the
is a
credits,
documentary.
it said New Panman.
New
Kato
Panman.
Kaelin. It was
Panman.
awesome.
I love it. I love it.
Awesome.
So that was the movie. Let's real quick go through our predictions.
I
See
got
if any
them all
came
right.
true. I will.
No.
Well, I was about to say I'll go first. All of mine did not come true because I didn't take mine too seriously. There was no pot girl. He did not
really-
have kids. That
I
were
thought that we
kitchenware.
weren't gonna see that though in the little flash forward scene.
Although-
I thought it would be so funny if they had
although
little kids. Yeah.
He did kind of fall in love with his potential victims. It was a love and then subsequent fall out
That's
of
true.
love
That's
with the person.
true.
I think
that lasted 30 seconds. But I'm going to say that one came true.
I'd give you credit for that.
I'm going to take credit. For
Yeah.
That's one
Cool.
point.
I
to
actually,
me.
to be honest, I actually thought you might get an explosion out of this one, but
Well, since
Still
we might as well.
hasn't
My
happened.
quote didn't come true either. The "you're a deadpan." There weren't a lot of puns
There weren't
in
a
this
lot
one,
of
which
them. Yeah.
was fine, you know. And then there was no explosions. There was no sauce. There was nothing. Yeah. One
Right.
of you
no, that's
want
true.
to go over your predictions?
Well,
real quick?
yeah. So mine, I didn't get a mandolin. I didn't get a cheese grater. You know, we did get a
Carrot
potato
peeler. Yeah.
and we did get the serrated edge of a tinfoil box.
We got some very
close,
creative.
but-
So
skills.
I think in spirit I was there on that one.
I think in spirit you just happened to choose specifically cheese grater
Right.
and whatever else you.
had I been more general and said we're going to get an amazingly creative kill with some kind
Kill
of
of
kitchen
utensils.
utensil,
Right.
Yes.
then I'd have nailed it.
I'll
but
give you
it
that
was, It was
one.
close.
Yeah.
I clearly got boiling water.
Very
Yeah.
hit the nail
Like,
right on the head
right
on
on
that
the
one.
head.
Yeah.
I don't know that one was all that difficult, but
I
got it.
Didn't
I
think
didn't
of
think
that,
about
but-
it. No.
I get those were my main predictions. I guess am I doing the left field one? So my
you can do all of
left
them.
field one, nowhere to be seen. There was no like Gordon Ramsay or Emerald anything really.
Bam.
And then my quote was something to the effect of serving up a heaping helping of hurt, which when I wrote it down, I was thinking that Panman would actually say that. So like 2 minutes into the movie, I'm going, well,
When he's
I'm
not
screwed on
speaking.
that
Oh, he's
because he
not
doesn't
talking.
talk.
Fuck.
Yeah.
But there was really nobody else that said anything that kind of
Right.
came close. I do want to say though, because you told me I should point this out last night, I was so pissed at myself when this happened in the movie.
Yeah.
When I was thinking of like total left field predictions. The other one, this is hindsight, but I swear to God, I was gonna go with this. I'm looking at the movie and the whatever, the IMDb, and I'm looking at the date on it. I'm like, 2014. I'm like, what the hell is, 2014? And I'm thinking, you know what? Here's a total off-the-wall prediction. There will be some kind of reference in this movie, some way, somehow, to President Obama.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I don't
that sounds
even
pretty
remember-
left field, right?
What was the context of that?
The context was
yeah.
it's after when they meet at the professor's house.
So after Hope's funeral?
After Hope's funeral, when they
Okay.
meet at the professor's house, and the professor talks Justice into, basically sticking around to help him or whatever. And the Keanu Reeves guy is talking to the professor, and the professor, and he says something to the effect of the professor, or he says something to the professor about, we used hope for bait and that didn't work out, and we shouldn't be doing this. And the professor says, something to the effect of hope is our only hope. And then the guy says, yeah, but we can't, this Justice might be our only hope, or something like that. But it was the confusion between the name Hope and then hope, sort of the term.
The term, yeah.
And the Keanu Reeves guy says, no, I don't mean hope in the hope the person. I mean hope like in Obama hope. And I was like, damn it.
It's so good.
I would have
forgot
knocked
about
that out of the park.
Yeah.
I don't even know
I was so
how
mad.
you would have thought of that.
That's
but You were
awesome.
mad last night when we
That's
watched
so
it.
funny.
Emma, you want to hit yours real quick?
Yeah, for sure. So I said that his I said that his backstory would be revealed, that he was he was once a culinary student taking his revenge, which is kind of true.
close.
It's close.
Yeah,
He was a chef. He took his revenge.
He was taking revenge on culinary
I
students.
said on
Yeah.
taking his revenge on students.
Okay, I'll give you that one. Because he
Maybe-
was once a chef.
Yeah, maybe the motive.
Yeah.
Maybe the motive was different, but
Right.
in effect, that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
You're right.
Right.
And then I said one of the students is going to try to stab him, but the pans on his head and hands are indestructible, which, there were a few times when things like ricocheted off
Yeah.
of his
I would say that's
head.
indestructible.
I'd say that was
No one
pretty
ever tried
close.
to
All right.
shoot him, which
That's
I thought
true.
was
The professor threw a
hilarious.
knife at him, and
That's
it just
true.
went off.
Bounced right off.
That's
his head.
true. All right. And then I said that he would be stopped by the power of friendship, which did not happen.
That did not happen.
Not
My
even
quote,
close.
"soups on," did not happen because Panman did not talk. And then I said that Panman will be revealed to be the one and only Mr. Nicolas Cage, which is not true, but he was revealed later to be Kato Kalin. So,
Which I would say pretty close enough.
pretty close.
Sure, close. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Nick Cage, Kato Kalin, sure.
All right.
So that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to say?
No, I mean, it was fun being here.
Yeah.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad. Can't do this more often.
You guys can both be on if we just do the same
Yeah.
setup and just talk over
Well,
Zoom.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe some other time. I
Maybe
mean,
you can join us another time.
this is your guys' thing, but I'll be a guest once in a while.
Yeah.
I
That's
will
awesome.
say, you've now made me watch 2 movies that I would have never, ever watched otherwise.
Boom.
And that
So,
That
is the true power of
of friendship. Beep.